talk at all.
You should make like a little podcast. Like you and your wife can do a podcast of things you talk about on your walk.
That would be a good idea, actually.
Yeah.
It would be short.
Yeah, that's fine, man. I mean, let's be honest. People got short attention spans, so maybe throw a little 2-minute podcast out there.
That is
I'm sure
true.
people will check it out.
Our most entertaining walk was Saturday night after day 3 of the draft.
Okay.
I did the entire walk listening to Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell on the conference call. And so Steph was listening.
Never stops working.
She was listening in. So
Never
she
stops working. I like it, Brent.
So she thought that was kind of fun. But
Cool.
She would rather listen to them than me.
Fair enough.
At this stage.
Ouch, yeah.
We will hear from Doug Marrone and Dave Caldwell a little bit more from the weekend and where this football team lies. Andrew Norwell comes, restructures his deal. I've never fully understood the restructure thing unless you were super up against the cap. Like, I kind of was scratching my head. I was like, okay, why? Like, why? I mean, it's going to save the Jags like $2.5 million this year. Yeah. But does that matter? I mean, what kind of move would they make at the trade deadline? They're not straight up against the cap, and they've got enough money to play around with. What am I missing here? Like, why do players think about doing that? Is there some benefit in your mind for Norwell security-wise to be able to do that? Yeah, well, and we're kind of on the same wavelength right now. I like the way you're talking, where it's like when that got announced, I'm like, well, something's coming then, right? There's got to be some kind of method to the madness. Either like maybe Andy Dalton, there may be clearing room for him, maybe Chris Thompson. Like, as soon as I found out that, Norwell was restructuring his deal, I thought, okay, for sure something's going to happen the next couple days or so where it's going to justify it. No, I'm not sure that's really going to happen. I just think that in terms of restructuring a deal, I mean, from Norwell's perspective, he gets the money up front now, right? So they're putting a little more trust in him. And then granted, the back end is a lot more incentive-laced, which if you're a football player, you want the incentives because that means that, hey, I'm going to believe in myself, believe in my abilities. So overall, we'll see if there's actually something to this or not. Being a player, I mean, usually when they try to preach, hey, can you restructure your contract? It's for the betterment of the team. Once again, the Jaguars aren't behind the cap right now, so that leads me to believe that there could be a move coming down the pipeline, whether it's a transaction regarding a free agent or a trade or something like that. So I'm going to keep my my eyes and my ears open for that. But overall, there's got to be something to it, I think. Well, it's interesting, too, because, if you go back to you clear as much space as you can, even if just in case. It's like a Marcel Darius situation presents itself from 2017. Well, I just don't see that happening because the Jags don't seem to be anywhere close to that. We don't anticipate that kind of deal. But maybe they're just clear enough just in case. You mentioned Andy Dalton. But, again, I just feel like the Andy Dalton thing is going to be a release and then kind of figure out a new contract and that kind of thing. It would make the most sense. Yeah, I just don't – if nothing's happened yet on the Andy Dalton front, I don't think it's going to cost him some crazy amount of money to get Andy Dalton. So, anyway, that's some news of the day. Andrew Norwell, it's not really, huge news in my opinion. Who did come out of the draft now, and who do you look at, kind of to go along with the Super Bowl talk, but who are the favorites in the NFL? Who are the teams to beat in the NFL? Did somebody increase their stock? And I've got some thoughts in mind about a team or two that really laid low in the draft because they're really comfortable with what they've got. And one team that's not their MO. I mean, you wouldn't put them in this category. So we'll talk a little bit about that. I've got a project for you here. Now, you got to follow along. Got to follow along. And you're asking a lot of money already. And let me just simplify it. So follow along for 30 seconds. And we're not going to do this when we come back because I want to give you a little time to do it. But you're going to take the first 5 picks of the draft by the Jags. Well, you don't get those players. Oh, so I can't pass. See, I'm glad you cleared this up because I did the homework last night. You can pass if you really want to pass. You can pass. Okay. That's fine. Okay. But you have to redraft somebody that was behind the Jags that they passed on. So the example is easiest is the first round. You have to pick somebody. You say, I don't want C.J. Henderson. I'm picking somebody between 10 and 19 that got drafted I would have rather had. You can take a Henry Ruggs, a Tristan Wirfs, a Javon Kinlaw, Jerry Jeudy. There you go. Yeah. Between after Chason, 21 to 41, up until that next pick, you get who do you want instead. So you have to redraft the Jags in the first 5 picks. I'm not going through all 12 of them, okay? Thank you. But you have to do the first 5. That gets us early in the 4th round and gives us enough separation to have a good selection of players. And keep in mind here, we're not putting together like an all-pro team. You have to like pick positions. You're not going to pick 3 receivers. Is my point.
Okay.
That doesn't do anything for you.
So this has to obviously benefit the team as well.
Yeah, it has to make sense.
Yeah.
Right. So who would you have gone? And I say write them down. Let's see how they do.
Okay.
You know, in the fall.
Okay.
You know, because the bottom line is the Jags could have had these players.
Yep.
You know, they passed on them.
Brent, I was there. Christian Fulton could have went number 9. As far as I'm concerned. As far as I'm concerned.
Hey, you don't think I have Trevon Diggs somewhere in there?
Let's go.
That could happen.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's a little a fun game we'll play today because I actually didn't, up until we decided to do it, didn't take like, okay, man, they didn't get this guy. You know, like Cam Akers was probably in that category, but they had just picked at 42. A lot of people were thinking, oh, if he falls to the 3rd round, that would be a spot. I didn't think there was a chance he'd fall to the 3rd round. In fact, I think I tweeted out that morning, I was like, I think he's a top 50 player when somebody asked him. Well, I think he ended up 50th in the draft. I mean, so he was right there. And I just didn't think he'd get that far. So the Jags would had to pick him with the 42nd pick. So you have to feel comfortable saying, hey, we get Akers with the 42nd pick. Would you feel that comfortable, or would you felt like that was reaching for a guy like Cam Akers? So anyway, send him in. It's basically 5 selections. And just to reiterate once again, I'm just going to give you the example of the first round. Anyone between 10 and 19 instead of C.J. Henderson. And I will allow the pass. If you're okay with Henderson there, boom, move on. But and then in that second pick, 21 to 41, who would you have taken instead of Chason? And give us 5 picks, and we'll share some of them along the way. And, of course, we'll share ours as well. We're going to get into some Leonard Fournette conversation real quick. Good move by Leonard to kind of go out there and say, hey, I'm ready. Listen, it's a business. You don't want me, that's fine. You know, pretty good attitude to go about it that way, right?
Yeah, I mean, what a distraction, right? What a locker room. Just it's all discombobulated now with Leonard Fournette's comments. No, listen, Leonard Fournette played this perfectly, and he understands what's at stake here. He understands that he has to come in training camp, probably the best shape of his life. He has to come in for training camp expecting to be a captain, expecting to be a leader, because all that, you put that together, and when it's all said and done, when the smoke clears, he's probably not going to be in Jacksonville, but he's going to get a new contract someplace else. So he understands what's at stake here. I love the way he's talking. And, I think he's been very adamant about saying even before the draft where he expects the Jacksonville Jaguars to be better than everyone thinks this year. And this is a Leonard Fournette who didn't even know he was going to be here before the draft, So I think he's got confidence in his abilities. I think he's got confidence in his teammates. And despite what happened with all these trade rumors, is he going to Tampa? Is he going someplace else? I think his mindset's where it needs to be, and he's going to be one of those big pillars that we always talk about in that Jaguars locker room.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's a good first move for Leonard Fournette, I think, and he could have totally done it a different way. He does ride that roller coaster now. Once in a while, you're sitting there and you're scratching your head. You're like, Leonard, why? Maybe the Cam Newton stuff. Then here, a couple weeks later, I don't think everything's big these days. Everything's really big in the last 2 months because there's really nothing else going on.
Sure.
But Leonard, because he's shown some good and some not so good, everything does get magnified with Leonard Fournette, and even on the good side. And so, I mean, should we read too much into this? Is this the way he's going to be for the rest of the year? Is this a good sign for the Jags? Does this kind of make you say, hey, all right, we can deal with that? We got to welcome this guy back. We got to make this guy a part of our offense. I mean, he had 1,600 total yards. I mean, bottom line is we didn't get rid of him. Yeah. And unless we're just going to release him, he's going to be on our roster. So I think the more you can get of that, Leonard,
sure,
I think the better off.
Well, and listen, when we talk about, the trials and tribulations of Leonard Fournette, obviously you can start in Buffalo a little bit where he threw that punch. People had a problem with that. I'm going to be honest. As a former player and as a guy who's been in the locker rooms, do you think his teammates were just like, I can't believe he would throw a punch. I can't believe he would have our backs like that. And now he got ejected from the game. As far as a distraction or hurting his team, obviously hurt his team because he wasn't on the field anymore, right?
Yeah,
He got escorted out. So that hurts your team. But as far as losing respect of his teammates, I don't see it happening there. Now, the whole ordeal in Houston where him and TJ Yeldon were on the sideline sitting on the bench, maybe that could be kind of chalked up to a little distraction and kind of hurt the team dynamic a little bit. I get that one. But
he
overall,
essentially got suspended a game his rookie season because he didn't go to the team picture.
Yeah. So,
he's got a history a little bit.
He does have a history, but I'm saying, like, in terms of the whole Cam Newton thing, listen, I've been very adamant about it. I didn't have a problem with it, okay? Like, and I don't think Gardner Minshew really had a problem with it. I'm not sure a lot of guys in that locker room had a problem with it. Doug Marrone obviously addressed it, and I think everything's been buried now, so they're all good. But what I look at about Leonard Fournette is, does he distract the team? Does he hurt his teammates? Does he hurt the culture of the locker room? And the past, at least to me, the past season, he hasn't. Okay, even the Cam Newton thing, I'm willing to brush by that. So all things considered, I think Leonard Fournette, after that whole Houston ordeal, after that whole Buffalo deal, has turned over a new leaf.
Now, again, draft week was not a good draft week for Leonard Fournette. There are a lot of rumors about trades. There are a lot of reports of sleeping in meetings. A lot of reports of coaches not being the biggest fan of him. That goes all the way back to when we had Mark Long on our show 3-4 weeks ago. So there might be more of that. My point in the whole thing, listen, I get the no drama. And I've always said this, I don't know the exact formula of how many guys you can have that might give you a little drama. But I also said, hey, you know what? When you know what Jalen Ramsey is, it's okay because you just say that's Jalen. Mm-hmm. The problem is when you have to say, hey, that's Jalen, and that's Leonard, and that's Telvin, and that's this guy, and that's this guy. Well, there becomes too many of that. I think Leonard, if you have one of those guys, is like, well, Leonard being Leonard, and you have to do that from time to time, I think that's fine. That doesn't mean you're going to have this over-dramatic and season where you're going to have a bunch of distractions. I mean, isn't he like the only guy right now that could cause distractions outside of Yannick Ngakoue?
Miles Jack.
I guess.
I mean,
Miles got ejected from the one game.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I don't think Miles. I think Miles Jack's kind of a calm, collective dude. I mean, he had one outburst there, but I'm just saying. I thought you were talking about just what guys kind of carry that, that pomp and circumstance where if they kind of lashed out a little bit, other players would take note.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
So I'm saying, like, who are like the big guys in the locker room? Like Miles Jack is obviously a big guy in that locker room.
I just feel like they have maybe two players on this team that you might identify as, well, you could see some drama in the locker room. Okay. I don't know if there's more than that, and that's a good thing. Yeah. But it's okay to have two guys. Mm-hmm. Again, my point is you can't have 8 guys. Mm-hmm. 8 guys is too much. That's too much of a percentage. That becomes contagious. And I think they're going to have Leonard Fournette in the fall. I think, it's pretty clear now, unless they just flat out release and want to go with a Lamar Miller or Devontae Smith or somebody else or Rock Armstead. But I think Leonard Fournette, that was a smart move by him last night. Early today, whatever it was, on Twitter and Instagram, saying, hey, I'm ready to roll. Business. Don't worry about that with me. Let's go get it in the fall if I'm still a part of it. We know Gardner Minshew is going to be a part of it. My biggest criticism of the Jaguars probably going into the draft and now coming out of it is, did they do enough to help find out if Gardner Minshew is the man? Does he have enough around him? When other teams are really dressing it up around their young quarterbacks or in general just their quarterbacks. We're going to take a look at some of the other teams, especially the young QBs, what they have around them and what Gardner has around him. Is he in a good situation or not? Let's do it when we come back. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. You're invited to the conversation, 904-362-9901. Jason Fitz at 4. We've got some fun stuff with Give Us Your Way Too Early Super Bowl predictions. I stole that right from his show. We'll bring it up during his conversation at 4 o'clock. And then also, you get a chance to redraft the first 5 picks of the Jaguars draft class. And if you didn't listen to the explanation, I'll explain it a little bit more later, but I'm not doing it right now. I was going to say,
are you putting it on Twitter, too? Because it's going to be a mouthful to put on Twitter.
Yeah, a little bit. It's not that hard. We'll simplify it.
Pull this off.
It's not that hard. Just go do it and give it to us.
Do it.
Do it.
Do it.
We'll be back on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A pleasantly warm day after a cool morning. Mostly sunny skies. The afternoon high around 80 degrees. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 at Fox 30. Action News Jacks from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
These can be unsettling times, but CGC Water Treatment wants you to know that they are there for you and your family. CGC Water Treatment has 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier Softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. When the shelves at the stores are empty, it's a great feeling to have purified water right at home. Call 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
Out of sight, out of mind still holds true. When things disappear from your day-to-day life, you think about them less and less. This includes your business. Yes, things are difficult, but if your customers aren't thinking about you now, how can you be sure they will be when this is past? At Cox Media Group Jacksonville, we make sure they will. We'll help you stay on the mind of your customers and even get into the mind of some new customers. Contact CMG Jacksonville at 245-8732 or email buildjax@cmg.com and let's build Jax.
Hello?
Hey, boss, how's it going?
Hanging like a hermit.
I hear you. Hey, how's your mom doing? I know you're worried because she lives alone and all.
She's good, thanks. Every night she's getting dinner delivered. And every night she answers the door with her SafeTouch security app.
Ah, no contact delivery.
Yeah, and SafeTouch cameras are encrypted with all kinds of safeguards.
Yeah, you don't see headlines about SafeTouch systems getting hacked.
Exactly. Can't believe I'm saying it, but I just feel better knowing she has SafeTouch. She's got her emergency buttons, her two-way communicator, the guaranteed response time.
Boss, sounds like you have a love-hate relationship with SafeTouch.
That's complicated. Because being crooks and all, we still gotta stick to the Crooks R Us motto. Stay away from SafeTouch houses. Yeah, the struggle is real.
Crooks know to stay away from SafeTouch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of SafeTouch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call SafeTouch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
We here at J. David Tax Law wanted to let our community know that we are here to help individuals and businesses with tax debt issues during the coronavirus event. The United States government has issued a $2 trillion economic stimulus package. The IRS has been tasked with collecting an unprecedented amount of tax debt to fund this historic initiative. If you owe a tax debt, there are new programs available that can help reduce or eliminate your IRS or sales tax burden. These programs expire on July 15th, 2020. So if you have federal or sales tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, or unfiled returns, we are here for you and your family. Call J. David Tax Law now for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com. Greater peace of mind is only a click or a phone call away.
Hey everybody, this is Brent Martineau. Social distancing doesn't mean disconnecting. If you're working from home or just steering clear of coworkers, keep tabs on the world of sports and Action Sports Jax on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Hey everybody, Trey Wingo from Golic & Wingo. You're listening to Action Sports Jax with Brent Martineau and Austin Lane on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
It was pretty amazing. And you sit back and you start thinking about just really how big of a process this was and how long it was. And, you know, to really go through it without a glitch and something that, you know, I know I'll look back on and say, wow, how'd they pull that off? But, you know, a lot of people involved, a lot of people dedicated to it, you know. So we had some security, right, outside the house, you know, in case someone tried to run in and take over the draft room. I got a couple calls going, hey, is everything all right over there? Is everything good between you and your wife? Or, you know, I see a cop car outside. I was like, everything's fine. The draft is going on.
That's Doug Marone over the weekend talking about the pulling off the draft, the technical side. They did a really good job. And really, in almost every business out there, I'm sure the technical folks that have made the adjustments are really some of the heroes of what's going on with all the work from home and safer at home and how we operate here in this building often on TV and on radio. We're one of the few actually still in studio, you know, to do it from here. And we actually have the capabilities, if necessary, to be able to do it from home. But so many on the technical side really have done a great job in this. You know, it's funny, when Marone was talking about the police presence outside, until he brought it up in that conference call, I didn't even think about that, but we mentioned it briefly yesterday. It's really another thing that they think of everything. Really no stone unturned. Mm-hmm. But it kind of would have been a lot of fun, like somebody in Arizona to go outside, like try to sneak around Kingsbury's house and kind of just like, I don't know if it's streaking, but at least just run back and forth.
What is it with you and wanting to see guys in their underwear, offensive linemen, and streakers now
Who
at
said
Kingsbury's
guys?
house? Well, you said offensive linemen in their underwear.
Well, I did then, but who said these people had to be guys?
Oh, okay. Girls. Exactly. It is Kingsbury's house after all. That's a damn good point. That's a damn good point. Hey, but, I mean, listen, it would never happen because that dude lives in the middle of Arizona, and he had the fireplace going in the middle of the day. Do you know how baller that is? So I guarantee he's got like some black ops security just waiting to get, have an excuse to take somebody down. So with that being said, good luck in getting Kingsbury's house.
How crazy would that have been, though? You see someone running across and then they just get absolutely wrecked.
Wouldn't have even got to the driveway. Wouldn't have even got to the driveway. But you notice that? He had the fireplace on the whole time.
I know it. I
can't say it, but, he's throwing money down the toilet, let's just say. I was going to say something else, but he's throwing money down the toilet. You live in Arizona. When are you ever going to be outside having a bonfire?
Listen,
smoking
fires
s'mores?
are good. I mean, I like setting the fire up at night.
Yeah, but even here, it's a little aggressive, man. It's like having a hot tub in Jacksonville. I mean, how much money do you really need, Seriously.
I had a fire Friday night.
Yeah?
At home.
Yeah?
This is a great week for a fire.
Were you sweating? I guess it's not too bad right now.
No,
The humidity's
I can get
down.
a fire at night, but like a hot tub, I can get behind your comment there.
But I'm talking about middle of Arizona, probably 100 degrees right now in the middle of the day. And
That's fair.
he's got the fire pit just going.
Yeah.
And nobody's outside.
That's the part that...
And nobody's even enjoying it. And it's like taking the faucet and just running the water for the heck of it.
It was very nice.
You can't hide money, Brent.
Aesthetics do matter.
You can't hide money, man. Sometimes you can't hide it.
And then there's just, Jerry Jones just says, yeah, I ain't hiding my money.
I guess. I mean, maybe change the interior of that yacht a little bit, but it is what it is.
All right, here's the deal. Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
It's his football team. And nobody believes in him. Except for me, Sunshine and Rainbows guy.
I mean, I believed in him too. Can I come on board a little bit?
A little bit.
Hey, Captain, permission to come on board. I've been saying the whole time, I think Gardner Minshew's the real deal.
Everybody wants tank for Trevor.
Didn't say that.
I just say, hey, let's see what Minshew's got first.
Yeah.
And even if you have a little faith in Minshew, you wouldn't think Trevor Lawrence would even be in play.
So, can I just bring something up about Trevor Lawrence real quick before you play out your fantasy here? Do you mind?
Which fantasy are we on here?
No, I'm just saying because we were getting ready to talk about how good Minshew is, and I'm willing to come with you here. But the whole Trevor Lawrence. But hang on, the whole Trevor Lawrence thing though. Okay, so let's say for whatever reason that Minshew's not the guy that we think he is. Okay, and he struggles this year. Jaguars maybe win 4 or 5 games for the sake of your bet. Let's just say 5 games because that was the over, I think, right? So you make your money, but the Jaguars had maybe the 2nd or 3rd pick in the NFL draft. Obviously, it's all about Trevor Lawrence. Who's to say that Trevor Lawrence opts to come out of college? Who's to say Trevor Lawrence actually stays in another year and absolutely screws the Jacksonville Jaguars over in probably the worst, day in Jacksonville Jaguars history? I'm just putting it out there.
No.
He's coming out for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, Coos, record this. Record this, Coos.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, listen, it'd be one thing if he was like the 3rd best quarterback. I mean, he's already he's no different than Tua. And Tua, even with the hip, still came out.
Remember last year,
he had reason to go back.
Justin Herbert could have came out last year as the number 1 quarterback. Okay.
He could have.
Save this audio, Coos. That's all I'm going to say.
There's not a chance in anything.
Okay.
That Trevor Lawrence is going back to Clemson after this year. In fact,
even if he has a chance to go to a team that he doesn't want to go to, possibly.
I get what you're saying.
See what I'm
there was
saying?
some conversation with Joe Burrow about that too with Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, here's you bring up an interesting point. We're going to get to this a little bit later in the show. Mm-hmm. 2 things that are because of what's going on. A lot of people have been asking me really the last couple of weeks, but I got a couple more questions on it today. And I've been digging into it and really don't have a ton of answers, but it's an interesting conversation, is what happens if there is no NFL season with the draft next year? Who drafts where?
Ooh.
How do they do it? Does Cincinnati get the number 1 pick again? Did the Jags get 9 and 20 again?
Draft lottery, let's go.
The Rams just don't get a pick for 2 years.
Draft lottery, let's go.
That's
Really?
what I believe. That's what I believe. But so we'll talk about that. But the other one we never talk about, in fact, it's never happened in Jaguars history, is the supplemental draft. And if college football gets pushed back, and if college football doesn't happen, which I don't think that will happen, but if it really gets pushed back, would some players consider coming out into this supplemental draft and asking for waivers? And we'll explain that process and kind of how it works a little bit. But supplemental draft's usually like a footnote, Not many guys get drafted.
Correct.
Or picked up. But could that increase this year and this summer when that all goes down? It's an interesting part of what's going on here, at least worth a discussion, so we'll get into it in a little bit. But first, Gardner Minshew.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel if you're Gardner Minshew coming off free agency, what you already have coming back on the roster, and now what they did in the draft? What was Gardner Minshew's reaction by late Saturday night, Sunday morning?
I think he's excited, okay? Because if you want to compare it to last year, obviously they've upgraded, all right? Now, they lost Marquise Lee. Unfortunately, Marquise Lee last year was hurt a lot, so they don't really miss anything from Marquise Lee. They upgraded the tight end position. Tyler Eifert. Can he stay healthy? We'll find out. But right now, the way it sits on paper, it is an upgrade. Josh Oliver coming back. Then you have guys in the draft. You have a big-bodied kid out of Texas, Colin Johnson, right?
Yes.
Nailed it. And then you have Laviska Shenault.
Yes.
Yes, 2 for 2, baby. Off to a good start. So you have those two weapons, and I think with Shenault, obviously talked about him yesterday a little bit, you can do a lot of interesting things with that guy. So I think from Minshew's perspective, you like that a lot as well. So overall, man, I think he's happy, and I think we agree here, Brent, where we wish that the third down back would have got addressed a little more, right? Because one thing that didn't really change is the offensive line, okay? Now, I get the Jacksonville Jaguars front office, the coaches, everybody, they like the offensive line, and okay, so be it. I'm not ready to crown the Jaguars offensive line a top 10 O-line quite yet. Are you?
No, not top 10.
Okay, exactly. So if we're talking about they're not a top 10 offensive line yet, then one would think there's probably going to be some, leakage every once in a while. There could be some guys slipping through. And if that's the case, that's where you want your third down back. That's where you want the fail-safe. The tight end position does that as well. But having that third down back, man, that Chris Thompson or whoever else you want to say, it helps a lot. Yes, Leonard Fournette can be that guy, but I want to give Leonard Fournette some rest, man. I don't want him in there for 40, 50 plays a pop. I want him to get rest, come in fresh, so when he breaks off that 80-yard run, he can finish it.
We're going to rank these guys, and we're going to have a little sliding ruler for Gardner Minshew and his offensive weapons versus some of the young players, especially in the NFL, coming up. But first, let's get to Steven, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Steven, what's happening, man?
First of all, Brent, I'm with you at least on the bet of they're not in the top 5 picks for the draft.
Yeah,
I'm at
baby.
least with you on that one.
Like it.
But I think a lot of people, because like you said, a lot of people have no faith in what Gardner Minshew could do this year. But they're not seeing one of the greatest weapons that Jaguars have now that they have not had ever. They've been strictly a running first team pretty much ever since 95. But now you look at this year. You have Jay Gruden's play style that will test Gardner Minshew. But nobody takes into the fact you have Ben McAdoo. This is a guy who helped with the Hall of Fame Brett Favre and basically made Aaron Rodgers Aaron Rodgers. How could Gardner Minshew not be excited about that being a rookie?
Yeah, listen, I think he should be excited about the philosophical change and about a lot of guys. You can speak to this. Mm-hmm. Even when you guys weren't very good in Jacksonville, those teams, you think you're good.
Of course.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You think you're better.
Of course.
Thanks, Stephen, for the call. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. You're always welcome to jump in. 904-362-9901, *690. But I think, like Gardner Minshew, like you're saying, he has faith in DJ Chark and in Dede Westbrook and Keelan Cole and Chris Conley. He knows what those guys can do. He has faith. I think he's even seen, like, Josh Oliver work a little bit and knows. He definitely has faith in the big guys up front, I don't think he's sitting there saying, oh, my gosh, Now, I think there is once – publicly they all say that. But I do think once in a while there are situations that are like, we could get a lot better here, if we're being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
So I think he's going to have confidence in what he's got. But it's how you measure up to others. in a sense. So here we go. Gardner has Fournette, Chark, Dede, Chenault, Eifert, Conley, Oliver. We mentioned those yesterday. You know what the depth chart looks like, and those are some of the weapons. You could end up with more, but those are some of the weapons. Look at Drew Lock, what they did. They gave him Melvin Gordon, Jerry Jeudy, Hamler. They already have Sutton. They already have Fant. And they'll even have Lindsey, who's proven to get it done, too. So they really have two backs.
Well, and you know what they're doing now, though, too, with Drew Lock? John Elway put the chips all in and said, are you going to be the guy or not?
Yeah.
Because now there's no excuse for Drew Lock, okay? He's got something like you just said. They draft some guys. He got Melvin Gordon. He got Noah Fant. Like every area of that field, Brent, whether it's tight end, wide receiver, running back, it's taken care of. So this is the year, this is the audition year for Drew Lock to see, is he really the guy going forward?
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, they set him up in a very good way to see if he can get it done. So I want to put Gardner on the slide here, okay? Move him up, move him down. Would you rather be Drew Lock or would you rather be Gardner?
Ooh, that's a good question. Man, well, it comes down to, that's a hard one, right? Because who do you take? Take Cortland Sutton or DJ Chark? I would probably take Sutton, right? I mean, I like Sutton a lot, man. The tight ends, obviously, Fant's got the advantage there, and he's going into a second year. Running backs, you can make a kind of an argument for both guys, I think. I would probably be Drew Lock.
Yeah, I don't even think it's close. I mean, okay. I think most people would take Sutton, Jeudy, and Hamler. Now, they're going to be young guys.
Yeah, exactly.
And then they would take Fant as a number one target and see where it goes. And they would take the combination of Gordon and Lindsey all day. I mean, I think Lock goes right to the top. He's in a better situation offensively. Now, he's got a lot of young guys. You know, these other guys have proven it or have played in the league a little bit, and I think that's valuable. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to rely on all young guys. Oliver will go into year 2. He hasn't done anything, and Chenault will be a young guy. But outside of that, he's got guys that have done it.
Yep.
You know, between Fournette, Dede, Chark, and even Eifert and Conley as well. All right, Kyler Murray. Mm-hmm. He's got Larry Fitzgerald, Hopkins, Kirk, Isabella at wide receiver. Pretty good.
Yeah, I'm taking that over the Jaguars
Absolutely.
all day, of course.
Max Williams is really their lone tight end threat.
It's the guy wanted Jacksonville, too.
I know. But it's like, I mean, does he, like, really wow you?
He hasn't really had opportunity, man. He's come from Baltimore. They have 10 tight ends a pop.
And then their running back situation is Drake and Eno Benjamin.
Kenyon Drake was a beast last year.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, obviously, I'm taking the Cardinals.
But the Cardinals, based on, one, they have a guy that is the head coach because of his offensive ability, right? I mean, they got to hope Kingsbury knows what he's doing, and they've brought this new style.
But keep in mind, the Jaguars have an offensive line coach who, you know, has experience with that. So
he does. But I just say, if you're talking about guys that are offensive-minded and I really look at Marotta as more like a football coach. I look at Kingsbury as like trying to be the next McVay.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's how people would label him. The wide receiving core is so good around Murray that I think it gives them a nod. Now, like tight ends and running backs, all right. But the bottom line is they went out and they got DeAndre Hopkins, and they said, we're going to make it even better for you. Now, listen, Kirk, Fitzgerald is older. Isabella would like him, right?
I like him.
I wouldn't say they're loaded. But the DeAndre Hopkins move to go give a guy the best receiver in the game, arguably, says, hey, they did something. All right, Daniel Jones. Tate Shepard on the receiving end. Ingram tight end. I might have even put like a Caden Smith as tight end. Is he a tight end, Giants? Why would I even have put Caden Smith down? And Barkley in the backfield.
Yeah.
I would put Gardner's in a better spot than Daniel Jones.
Really?
What has he got?
Saquon Barkley?
Okay, it's one guy.
One guy? Hey, I mean,
Shepard Warrior?
You saw one guy against Jacksonville Jaguars last year with Christian McCaffrey.
So you tell me you'd rather have Barkley and Ingram, right? Because I'll give a little nod to Ingram.
Okay.
Rather than and
a little nod. I mean, when he's healthy, he's probably a top 5 tight end.
All right. Well,
yeah.
See, so Barkley and Ingram.
Okay.
Or Fournette, Chark, Dede, Chenault, Eifert.
I mean, you still Tate and Shepard. I mean, listen. I would probably. Are we putting offensive lines into it too or not, or just weapons?
Well, I think offensive line does go into it because, like yesterday when I did this, remember we were talking to Indianapolis? I think their offensive line is a weapon.
Yeah.
I think the Jags' offensive line is better than the Giants' offensive line.
Okay.
Don't you?
Yeah.
I mean, they had to go to the draft. Yeah, we'll see what Andrew Thomas does, but in terms of proven commodities.
Yeah, I would say that. Listen, man, Barkley is a dynamic game changer. So,
I understand. Barkley's a stud.
I'm actually going to go with the Giants.
That's interesting. I don't know. I get Barkley. I mean, listen, I'm not sitting here telling you that Barkley's bad.
Well, okay,
I'm just talking about everything on offense. I can do things to stop Barkley.
Sure, let's go and break it down then. Better running back, Barkley. Better tight end, Ingram.
Yep.
Better one receiver, DJ Chark. I'll give you that. Better two receiver. You take Golden Tate, you taking D.D. Westbrook.
Yeah, I'll take Tate.
Okay.
How about Shepard versus, say, Chenault or Conley?
I'm taking Sterling Shepard all day when he's healthy for sure because he's proven.
That's an interesting one. Yeah. I don't know. I put the Jags, I put Gardner in at least just as good a position. I understand Barkley. I get it. I mean, he's got a heck of a weapon back there. But you need more than that. The receiving core just doesn't do much for me. Haskins has McLaurin, Golden Gandy, your guy.
Yep.
Adrian Peterson, and Geis. A couple of older guys now. Well, Geis isn't really that old, but hadn't done a ton. And I think tight end, they have like Jeremy Sprinkle.
Yeah.
I would take the Jags.
Not taking a guy with the last name of Sprinkle over the Jacksonville Jaguars. Hate to tell you.
I mean, listen, McLaurin's a nice young player.
Yeah.
But outside of this, that's why I laugh at the Redskins being 100 to 1 odds better than the Jags to win the Super Bowl. I mean, you're out of your mind.
But who has the better defense though right now?
Yep, they have some really good players.
Correct.
Overall, I mean, are they good on defense? I mean, they have Chase Young.
I mean,
they have Kerrigan.
Well, and keep in mind that they have a brand new coaching staff too, so you don't know how that's going to correlate. Yeah.
I just don't.
But I'm taking the Jaguars.
I think the Redskins rosters, whatever.
Yep.
But Joe Burrow has A.J. Green, T. Higgins, Tyler Boyd, Joe Mixon.
Ooh.
It's pretty good.
I mean,
I understand. You got to hope A.J. Green's healthy.
I know. That's kind of where I'm coming from. Are we taking health into account here or not?
Listen, I think you got to assume health.
Okay, well, you know what, then, because I'm not going to contradict myself, because if A.J. Green had a chance to come to Jacksonville, I would cheer that and applaud that all day.
Yeah.
So I like A.J. Green still. Boyd can be, a game changer, and then obviously T. Higgins.
Well, Boyd turns into like a 3 receiver for them.
Exactly. And Mixon, man, don't sleep on Mixon
Mixon's
either.
Been very good.
Especially in the pass game as well. I'm taking the Bengals.
Okay.
I mean, offensive line, though, yeah.
I have a hard time not agreeing with you on that one.
Yeah.
Green and Higgins and Boyd and Mixon.
So here's the messed up part. Remember when I went on my big campaign of saying how the Jacksonville Jaguars had a top 10 wide receiving core?
Yeah, and you're giving them no love right now.
Well, I know. Things have changed. The landscape has changed. But
it really has.
Yeah.
All right, Tua. He's got Parker, Alan Hearns, Albert Wilson, Jordan Howard, Breida, Gesicki at tight end.
Don't forget about Preston Williams, too. You saw on the team? They liked him a lot.
It must be. I don't know. I didn't put him down on my
You should have, man. He's going to be a game changer. Devontae Parker, DJ Chark.
Now, keep in mind, Tua might not even play this year.
Yeah, go ahead and give me the Jaguars.
Yeah.
Who's the running back?
Howard and Breida. Jordan Howard.
Jaguars, yeah.
Herbert has Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, Eckler, Hunter Henry, and they did add Bulaga and Turner to their offensive line as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Chargers.
So this is the point of the story. Okay. Mm-hmm. I know that just took a little bit, but follow along. We just went through the young quarterbacks in the league, either rookies or second-year guys, and maybe I missed someone in there, but you get the point. That's 2, 4, 6, 7 players plus Gardner Minshew. I would put Gardner Minshew's weapons better than the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
I would put them better than the Washington Redskins, so better than Tua and Haskins.
Mm-hmm.
So out of 9, list of 9.
And Jones possibly, too. You said that you thought they're better than the Giants.
Yeah, so out of a list of 8, I think I would actually tie them probably with the Giants around 5, because Barkley, I get it, man. Barkley you can do a lot with. Mm-hmm. So, and he's a superstar.
He is.
But I would put them, they wouldn't be 8th on the list. They wouldn't be 7th on the list. They'd be either 6th or 5th on the list.
Mm-hmm.
So and for you, they were 6th on the list.
Correct.
So that's my point. Of the whole conversation is, did they put him in a good enough situation to find out if he's the guy? All these other quarterbacks, they spent all this ammunition on offense around Drew Lock. Kyler Murray the last 2 years, what they've done to build around him. Even Daniel Jones, but Barkley was already there. I don't think they've invested a ton, although they did just invest a big left tackle in Andrew Thomas. Burrow, they obviously have A.J. Green, but they went out and got T. Higgins. Yeah. That extends the domino effect of their offense a little bit. Tua, I think they're still early stages. They've spent more time on the defense, quite frankly, fixing that. And Herbert walks into a good situation if he ends up playing out there in L.A. So did the Jags do enough? Now, I don't think they're sitting there empty-handed. That's good.
Yeah.
But I also don't think he's in the best situation out of everybody to be successful.
Well, it goes to show you the power of the draft, right? Because before the draft, I thought the Jaguars had a top 10 wide receiving core, and I would have fought that all day. If the Jacksonville Jaguars go out and draft Judy in the first round, I have no problem saying they're a top 10, maybe even top 7, you know? I think they're legit.
Yeah,
DJ
where do you
Chark,
slide them
Jerry
on this
Jeudy.
list if they got Judy?
But here's the problem. The Bengals had a guy like T. Higgins, right? Now, all of a sudden, you know, the Cardinals will get Hopkins and all these things, and now all of a sudden the Jaguars are kind of in the middle of the pack, in my opinion, in a wide receiving core. And especially, keep in mind, a very deep draft for wide receivers, too, as well. Now, Shenault could be no slouch himself, you know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, what I've seen with Shenault, you know, I can't get ready to put him in a high caliber 2 position. I just can't do it.
Yeah, you got to see something.
Yeah. So with that being said, it goes to show you just how important the draft is sometimes in building your team because, like I said, I was easily okay with putting him top 10 in the league in wide receivers, and now I probably can't do that anymore.
Yeah, I think it's a tough thing to do. I think it's a really tough thing, especially with all the receivers that went off the board.
Yeah.
And keep in mind, there are a lot of receivers went off the board before Shenault, although the Jags rated him higher than a lot of people that went off the board.
Yeah.
So we'll see wwho's right.
Yeah.
That will be interesting. That is the one good thing I think about Gardner this year. They got a red zone guy.
Yep.
They've got a third round pick from last year coming back at tight end. They added to the tight end room in Eifert. And then they have Shenault, who could be this dynamic that we just haven't seen. Mm-hmm. And so I think that lends well to Gardner Minshew, who does have the elite offenses in the NFL, therefore making them some of the teams to beat. We'll talk about that next on ESPN 690.
Do you hear something in the attic?
Where do you want to eat tonight?
Why won't the lights work?
Where should I take my car for engine work?
Do you think I need to get this spot checked out?
Where did these bugs come from?
When are we going to paint the house?
These and hundreds of other questions are still being asked daily. Will the answer be your business or your competitors? Don't leave it to chance. Let Cox Media Group Jacksonville make you the answer to their questions. Contact us at 245-8732 or email buildjax@cmg.com and let's build Jax.
When your car needs service, you want a safe place to go. That place is Arlington Toyota. Here's how Arlington has enhanced safety in their service department to keep you and their team of technicians safe. You can drop off your vehicle and Arlington will give you a solo ride home, so you don't have to wait on site. Arlington will even pick up your vehicle from you and return it free through April 30th. And speaking of sanitized, Arlington is cleaning the steering wheel, center consoles, and gear shift with sanitizing wipes as an added precaution. And if you come in, Arlington has enhanced its cleaning measures using hospital-grade sanitizing products and cleaning high-touch surfaces every hour. They've also increased the space between seats in their lounges and cashier lines to maintain the safe 6-foot distance recommended by the CDC. Oh, and if you need parts, you can order them and pay for them online, and Arlington will deliver them for free until April 30th as well. The service, parts, and collision departments at Arlington Toyota are open, and they've adjusted their hours to best serve you. Get the latest updates or schedule your appointment at arlingtontoyota.com today. And most of all, stay well and know that Arlington is here for you.
These days, the whole world is on the internet 24/7, on their phones, at work, even at the dinner table. It's the internet all the time. So why, when it's time to sell your home, does your traditional agent charge you 6% to list it on the MLS to other agents instead of targeting buyers directly online? That's why Rex was born. For a fee starting at 2%, Rex sells your home where buyers are looking, online, optimized by data-driven marketing, not the MLS. To get started, visit sellwithrex.com. That's sellwithrex.com. With Rex, selling or buying a home has never been easier. Price your home, get a virtual consultation, visit online open houses and showings, all from the comfort of your home with a few clicks of a button. Want to learn more? Visit sellwithrex.com or just use your phone and call 833-REX-HOME. 833-REX-HOME. That's 833-739-4663. License number CQ 1057788. Minimum fee may apply. Rex fully supports the principles of the Fair Housing Act and Equal Opportunity Act.
I'm Siniqua Martin Green, and when my mother was diagnosed with cancer, our world changed forever. This experience made me so passionate about spreading awareness of treatment options, including clinical trials. I'm joining Stand Up to Cancer to get information to those who have been diagnosed with cancer and their loved ones. Clinical trials introduce new hope for patients, providing access to cutting-edge new treatments. Talk to your doctor to see if a clinical trial may be the best choice for you or a loved one. To learn more, visit standuptocancer.org/clinical trials today.
This is Mike with Big Fish Roofing. Whether you're in need of a new roof, just a repair, or an inspection to ensure that your roof is ready for any weather that may be on the way, call Big Fish Roofing for a fair, honest opinion on what your specific needs may be. Big Fish Roofing is state licensed and insured and locally owned by Jacksonville natives. At Big Fish Roofing, we never ask for deposits or any money before your project is fully complete. Find us at bigfishroofing.com or facebook.com/bigfishroofing for all your residential or commercial roofing needs.
Our friends at Arlington Toyota are here for you, and they've taken some extra steps to make sure your Arlington experience is safe and convenient. First, and this is a big one, Arlington has now extended its exchange policy to 30 days. That's 30 days you have to love your purchase or exchange it. Now that's peace of mind. They're also going to give you no payments for 90 days. That's 90 days deferred payments on all new and certified pre-owned Toyotas. You can shop over 1,000 vehicles online. And in fact, you can complete your entire purchase 100% online, including choosing your car, trade-in, and even financing. Arlington will then deliver your completely sanitized vehicle to you at your home. All departments at Arlington are open: sales, service, parts, and collision. And they've adjusted their hours to work best for you. Check it out online at arlingtontoyota.com. And if you do come in, know this: Arlington is using hospital-grade sanitizing products and following all CDC guidelines to keep you and their team safe. Find out more at arlingtontoyota.com. And most of all, stay well and know that Arlington is here to help.
Hello?
Hey, boss.
Why are you calling me?
Well, I was gonna come over, but I thought I should be practicing social distancing.
Oh, that's responsible of you.
Thanks. So I'm calling because I want to read you this new article in the Crooks of Us newsletter.
If it's about Safe Touch security, I don't want to hear it.
Boss, you want to hear this? The headline reads, "Safer at home with Safe Touch security."
Safer at home with Safe Touch?
Yeah, it says, with people staying home more than ever these days, Safe Touch security is the answer for peace of mind at home.
Yeah, the guaranteed response time, the two-way communicator, the video monitoring.
Yeah, and more.
Great. So what you're telling me is, whether they're home or not, the Crooks of Us motto is stronger than ever. Stay away from Safe Touch houses.
It's written in stone, boss.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
Hi, I'm Anna, a teacher and a mom and the founder of Anna's Angels. I couldn't stand the thought of so many adoptable animals being euthanized, so I began bringing them from shelters to places where they can be seen and adopted. We specialize in the hard luck cases, including older dogs and cats, and we always need volunteers and donations to keep us going. Please visit Anna's Angels Animal Rescue on Facebook. That's Anna with one N. Our goal is to save them all.
Hey everybody, it's Brent Martineau. We at Action Sports Jacks hope you and your family are doing well. Coronavirus has forced a lot of people to choose between buying food and keeping the lights on. Whether you're one of these people or not, we're all living through this pandemic together. We've partnered with Feeding Northeast Florida for a virtual food drive so you can help without leaving your house. To donate now, go to ESPN690.com.
Now, back to Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690 and in the TuneIn Radio app.
I think the value is what you've seen, Mike, in the last couple of seasons for us and in our Super Bowl season is probably the right picture to paint. And I was a backup quarterback my whole career and obviously behind a guy that, was in Brett Favre, a Hall of Fame quarterback. But for us, having a solid backup who, has a chance to play, could play, but just having that experienced guy in today's game, it's such a violent game, and if they can go in and play a game or two, or as in Nick Foles did, lead us to the Super Bowl in 17, then that's what we're going to do.
You trolling me, Coos?
A little bit.
It's Doug Peterson.
Dougie Fresh.
Dougie Fresh explaining the quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Listen, I defended Doug a little bit. Quarterback factory, I'm not so sure.
Yeah,
But I defended Doug for the Jalen Hurts. But you can never have enough quarterbacks.
Sure.
They've proven it.
But be honest, he's now ahead of Sean Payton on your hit list.
He is on the ahead of him, yeah. That's just because I
You
want
hate
to
to see
put
it.
$1 million on the Peyton and the Saints to win the Super Bowl at 13-1. That's really the only reason.
I'm with you, man. I mean, I feel like we've been on the show now for, going on a year and a half, and I feel like both times I made my predictions been the Saints, and I'm probably going to go again. I'm going to re-up once again, triple or nothing, and I'm probably going to the Saints Super Bowl champions again. So
yeah, the storylines add up. Plus their moves add up.
Yeah, but Chiefs are pretty good though too, Brent.
They lost their punter.
Oh, it's a good call. It's a good call. And when you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and have a punter who's second in the NFL in net punting average, Brent, you got a shot.
Listen, field position's important.
Hey, I was there when they drafted Brian Anger in the 3rd round. Don't talk to me about field position and the importance, man.
They are. I just am never afraid in the NFL, I guess, of teams outside of Brady and Belichick that do so well in one year, kind of repeating it.
Yeah.
I just think it's like the biggest cliche in sports, right? The hardest thing to do is repeat. Mm-hmm. But I really do. If you, in the NFL, as good as the Chiefs have been, look at the Saints, as good as they've been. Unbelievable. I mean, they're good on defense. I still think on paper they have maybe the best team all around, right? They can play defense when they need to. And you got Drew Brees and Michael Thomas and Alvin Kamara and all these guys.
I'm going to say this, though. You know what's crazy? Last year, remember we had this conversation. You know who we said probably had the best roster in the entire NFL? And I agreed with you, too? The Chargers.
Yeah.
And what happened with them?
Yeah. Well, the Chargers have become kind of that team that just kind of is not going to live up to it.
Yeah.
But the Saints have been knocking on the door, and they still can't get through with an elite team. There's no doubt they have an elite team. Mm-hmm. And so it just shows you how hard it is to do it. You have to have things go your way. Even as good as Kansas City is, you still have to have things go your way. And I just think it's really hard to have things go your way for 2 consecutive years. And so I'm not afraid of, I don't think the Chiefs will repeat. Now, I don't think they're going to be 3-13. I just don't think they'll repeat. It's the same thing, and I know I'm not a Titans fan, but you know how much has to go right for the Titans to do what they did last year?
So here's where I'm coming from. In my opinion, the reason why a lot of teams can't repeat in the NFL and win Super Bowls, besides obviously the Patriots, it's because teams get hip to the game, right? Eventually, defenses, they'll figure you out. And with the Tennessee Titans, for instance, yes, I don't think the odds of the Titans getting back to the AFC Championship game are going to be there just because teams get hit to the game, all right? Obviously, you got to stop the run, whether you got to stack the box a little more, maybe play a little more man coverage, forced handle, whatever it's going to be, but there's ways to beat the Tennessee Titans. My point, though, is, and obviously the Baltimore Ravens, too. I think the Baltimore Ravens might have some trouble start things out with because the Tennessee Titans kind of put out the blueprint a la New England Patriots in the Super Bowl 2 years ago against the Rams. They put out the blueprint on how to beat the Rams. How'd the Rams do this year? Struggle bus.
That's a good point.
But my point is, with Andy Reid, with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs, I just think they have so many wrinkles, man. They have so many weapons. Now they just got another weapon at running back. First round, they just have so many guys at their disposal where I cannot see defenses figuring them out just because they're so dynamic and so dangerous in every aspect of the game of football.
You're absolutely right, and I get it. But just think how close the Chiefs were to losing their quarterback the entire year.
Correct.
If he isn't double jointed, I'm serious.
Yeah, no, I know.
I mean, the knee's done.
Yeah, it is.
And he's done.
Yeah.
So that's why. If you've been around the NFL, you just know. I mean, you know half the teams aren't even going to go to the playoffs.
Yeah.
So the odds are against it so much.
So what you're saying is you're going to have a voodoo doll with Patrick Mahomes' head on it, and then you're going to sabotage him so your Saints can go win you some money.
Yeah, well, I like him too much.
I was
going to
say, man, I can do that to Patrick Mahomes, man. The guy's nothing but class.
The greatest illustration of what you think won't happen is probably the Green Bay Packers. And you know it. You're from up there.
Yeah.
30 years. They've had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and they've won 2 Super Bowls in that time.
Yep.
I mean, that will show you how hard it is to do. I mean, what more can you ask? Down here, we haven't had a franchise quarterback, so we'll take 500 right now. But they've had 30 years worth of quarterback play and nothing. Indianapolis Colts. Peyton Manning won 1. Yeah. Andrew Luck came in and obviously couldn't. Now he's retired, and now they go with Philip Rivers. We'll see if they can do it.
But do you remember that, though? When Luck came in, at least people in the locker room that I played in were like, oh, well, here we go again. It's like Peyton Manning version 2. And now the Colts are going to go back to the Super Bowl again. They never did it.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Listen, it doesn't mean there's a different. being good and getting in the dance and having a chance is a big thing.
It just seemed like everything was in place for the Indianapolis Colts to be successful for the next decade or so when Peyton Manning left and Luck came in.
Yeah, and the unpredictable happens in the NFL, and there's no better scenario with Andrew Luck. First of all, some of his injuries, and secondly, his abrupt retirement. That nobody expected. Which also, if you're a Patriots fan or just a fan of history in the sport, it just doubles down on how amazing it is what they've done. I mean, it really does. But even Luck plays in. They came about on a down cycle for the rest of the AFC East. I mean, they walked through the AFC East for the better part of 2 decades. And even now, they're getting out at a time where the AFC East is having an uptick a little bit. The Jets think they have their quarterback. Miami's rebuilt that. It might still take a couple of years. The Bills feel like they're in stride. So it's all situational stuff. Real quick, you get offenses in the NFL that are elite. Give them to me. Go.
Chiefs, Ravens, Saints, 49ers, Dallas Cowboys. Did I go with the Rams? I'm trying to think here. You put me on the spot, you know that, right?
I know. I want to. Can't do homework for everything.
Go ahead and give me the Rams, Buccaneers, and Cardinals. And I'm done. That's it. I'm done. What do you give it? Hey, you literally just put me on the spot, and I had to rattle off like 8 teams.
Baltimore, KC, Saints, San Francisco, Cowboys. I'll come with you.
Okay.
That's 5. You said the Rams. No.
Okay. Tampa Bay? No.
Tampa, I have them on my list.
Okay, good. Cardinals?
No.
How?
Why are they elite?
Because they have.
I don't even know if the kid's any good.
They got the best wide receiver in the league.
Okay.
They have Kenyon Drake, who averaged like 3 touchdowns when he was in for the Arizona Cardinals, so running game's taken care of. You got Andy Isabella, dynamic playmaker. You got Larry Fitzgerald. Why can't they be a good offense?
Well, they could be good, but I wouldn't put them in elite yet.
And plus, you have a dual-threat quarterback.
I wouldn't put them elite yet.
Okay.
I would put the Browns above them.
Okay.
Look how many weapons they have, man.
Yeah,
they went out and got the best tight end
they also
in
have
free
Baker
agency.
Mayfield.
I understand, but they've got, I could throw 12 touchdown passes in that offense probably.
They also have Baker Mayfield.
And I put the Falcons in there. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Julio Jones, Matt Ryan. Not enough? Is that just...
Well, I'm going to say Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. Give me more.
Well, Matt Ryan's done it for 12 years. What the hell is Kyler Murray?
Give me more. Who we got? Julio Jones and Matt Ryan. Who else we got?
I'll take the Falcons offense right now to start the year over the Arizona offense.
This is going to be a bet right now. Who do you think is going to have more offensive yardage at the end of the season? The Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons. Put it on the table.
All right,
I think the Cardinals.
I'm going to do it.
That's easy money.
Jason Fitz comes.
Who's throwing the rock for the Falcons?
Who's going to the Super Bowl?
Who's the running back for the Falcons right now?
Mine's not the Falcons, nor is it the Cardinals.
Let's go.
It's next on ESPN 690.
Where is this water coming from?
Who will deliver us lunch?
Why is the air conditioner blowing hot air?
Where can I get a tire fixed?
Do you know someone who can get marker stains out of the carpet?
What do we need to do to get the pool ready?
These and hundreds of other questions are still being asked daily. Will the answer be your business or your competitors? Don't leave it to chance. Let Cox Media Group Jacksonville make you the answer to their questions. Contact us at 245-8732 or email buildjax@cmg.com and let's build Jax.
There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Wash your hands. Avoid close contact with people who are sick. Avoid touching your eyes, nose, and mouth. Stay home when you are sick. Cover your cough or sneeze. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects with household cleaning spray. For more information, visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside. Now, more than ever, we know you need to win every single bid. You can count on Lowe's for special values on pro-trusted brands and savings when you buy in bulk. Save yourself a trip by shopping Lowe'sForPros.com, where we can ship thousands of items to your doorstep or to the job site. Lowe's is open and pro-ready.
At AutoZone, we're here to help you get what you need, and that won't change.
In need of an oil change? Right now you can get 5 quarts of Pennzoil Platinum Full Synthetic Motor Oil, an STP Extended Life Oil Filter, and a $15 AutoZone gift card by mail or email, all for just $33.99. And if you need something fast, you can get it fast. Your way, whether it's next day delivery or free same-day pickup, in-store or curbside. The choice is yours. Get in the zone. AutoZone. Restrictions and details on AutoZone.com.
This is the Dan Le Batard Show on ESPN Radio.
I don't think that people would go from CBS to ESPN to watch a game just because of Tony Romo. You know what would improve Monday Night Football's ratings is if we had a flex package that allowed us to put the best football games on there, and it wouldn't matter if you had 2 camels sitting in the booth.
Did the camels interrupt Jim Nance? Because that's one of the great qualities of Tony Romo.
The Dan Le Batard Show with the Stugatz on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
First Take, Your Take, with Jason Fitz.
Is it about LeBron? Is it about the Clippers? Now that Reggie Jackson is signed with the Clippers, what's it all mean?
Looking at LeBron because he's LeBron. It's the ball in your hands. You're a top 2 candidate for league MVP honors. You are representing the Laker brand, and everybody's going to the other team. It's a problem, and it may cost the Lakers the chip.
First Take, Your Take, with Jason Fitz from 1 to 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and ESPN News.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Well, the plan, like all the rookies, I mean, these guys, they've got so much to learn. It's such a different game. They got to learn new terminology. They got to get to know all the other players on the team. They got to get to know their fellow rookies. So there's a lot that goes into, that first year as a rookie, as well as obviously going out there and playing. So we try to take it one day at a time. I think, nothing's going to happen all at once. I don't think you just jump in there and you're ready to go. You got to do a good job of meetings. When we get to that, which right now we'll be in virtual meetings when we start with the rookies on May 11th.
That is Brian Flores, the Miami Dolphins head coach, who I think you got to feel good if you're in South Florida, if you're a Fins fan, about Flores, what he did the second half of last year, and now you're starting to add some talent on the defensive end with the money they spent in the draft offensively, and the quarterback situation. The kid from Auburn, we were wondering about it, but he'll play that nickel corner for them. They are really solid, obviously, in their secondary. So if you like the Miami Dolphins, things are starting to look up a little bit. And the fact that Tom Brady is out of the division, that helps too. Of course. All right, we have so many bets going on. So we bring in a guy from Las Vegas.
Yep.
Guy from ESPN, Jason Fitz. First Take, Your Take. He joins us right now on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
Ask him the biggest bet we have so far.
I am going to ask him
please,
right now.
I want to hear his opinion.
We'll get to the other stuff. By the way, we ripped the segment right off your show today, so we'll carry that over. Thanks for producing our show this afternoon, Jason. We appreciate that. Somebody just said I need to take a P test because I called the Cleveland Browns offense elite.
Yep.
What? Why not?
You said the E word. I don't know, man.
Jarvis Landry, Odell Beckham Jr., and Nick Chubb, who's like top 3. Austin Hooper, free agent. David Njoku. Why not? Why aren't those guys elite?
Hey, Brent.
Help me out here, Fitz.
Baker Mayfield. Oh, go ahead, Fitz. Sorry.
Last time I checked, Baker Mayfield has proven that he is elite when he's got the right coaching around him. I mean, Freddie Kitchens was a liability last year. And here's the thing for me, I keep looking at the Browns and thinking last year at this time, I was the one that was saying pump the brakes. And maybe I'm just too much of a contrarian on this, but it just no proof of concept with Freddie Kitchens. It just felt wrong. Now, at this point, we got to look at it and say, okay, we're not even sure Baker's the guy, but we have seen Baker do great things. They get it better. Jack Conklin's going to be a better answer for him on the offensive line. They got the weapons. They should be elite. Freddie Kitchens just blew it last year. So, do they think we're going to blow it 2 years in a row for the Browns? That's tough for me to see. I think that Baker can play. I'm not going to call him a Hall of Famer, but I think he can play. I think offense is going to put up a bunch of points. I'm higher on the Browns this year than most people.
All right. So, they can hold that P test, but we've got another one for you.
That was the appetizer.
That was.
All right, this is the main meal now. This is the entree. Hit him with it, Brent.
Simply put, who will have a more productive offense in 2020? The Atlanta Falcons or the Arizona Cardinals?
All right. So I believe in Matt Ryan more than I believe in Kyler Murray still. So I'm going to go with the Falcons.
So this is the way how Brent's like, the Atlanta Falcons? Or the Arizona Cardinals.
You telling me the delivery gave it away?
Brent, you always do it. You do it on Twitter for the polls, and you do it when I guess you go, the Atlanta Falcons or those Arizona Cardinals. So it is what it is, man.
Just hear me out on this. So I'll say this: with the Cardinals, the biggest concern for me is, look, Kyler Murray was better than I thought it would be year one. I'll give him a lot of credit for that. I just wonder, when everybody's had a year to sit back and look at Cliff Kingsbury, who, I've talked to a couple of people around the Cardinals, they'll tell you he did a magnificent job throughout the course of the year of adjusting his game planning, adjusting his offense, and really finding a rhythm. So I'll give him a lot of credit for that. But now everybody's had the offseason to look back and figure out what to do against Kyler Murray and what to do against Cliff Kingsbury. So even though they add an elite weapon, obviously with DeAndre Hopkins, I still don't know what that offense is going to be when everybody's had some time to game plan it. So I'm a little cautious. You guys know me. I'm risk averse at this point. So a little less risk with Matt Ryan.
I'm just going to say this, man. I saw Kingsbury's house, okay? And people with houses like that, Brent, they don't lose. People with houses like that, whether it's Tony Stark and Iron Man, whoever else it is, they're always successful.
The guy's still trying to get to 500.
So with that being said, good luck with Todd Gurley and that gimpy leg in Atlanta, because I'm taking the Arizona Cardinals all day.
Oh, man.
Now, you're not wrong about the fact that you don't get a house like that unless you are just a winner. Like, there's something about you're better than everybody at everything when you have that house. Like, I'm not even going to dispute that for a second. And whatever Cliff Kingsbury is doing, I mean, if I could just stay in the house for a week, I'd add myself to that staff, for free, just to be able to stay in that house for a week.
Jason, he had the fireplace outside rolling with nobody outside in the middle of Arizona. I mean, just $100 an hour, $100 an hour, $100 an hour, just wasting that propane because you know why, Brent? He's a winner. And the guy has great offenses. I can't wait to see the Cardinals this year.
Unbelievable.
It's also Arizona. Like, why do you ever need a fire pit in Arizona?
Because
like,
you're a winner.
God, I mean,
because you're a winner.
That's fair. That's fair.
Jason Fitz with us from ESPN. First Take, Your Take, 1 to 3 on ESPN 690. Hope you caught the show earlier today. I did on my way in, and I'm going to steal a topic of yours from who's the early favorite for the Super Bowl matchup. I liked what you were doing there, so maybe we'll give you ours as well, just to jump in and piggyback on your conversation. But I want to give you a chance to talk a little bit about your team, the Raiders. Did you like what they did in the draft? And I think people here in Jacksonville would have liked if they did what the Raiders did to kind of put more on offense and around Gardner Minshew.
Well, yes. So let me say this. I was doing a Night One Live, and we were doing some digital clips that were going up with me and Mina Kimes and Dominique Foxworth and Mike Golick Jr. Field Yates. None of them liked Henry Ruggs as the first receiver off the board. But I would argue that if you read any of the guys that follow the team, it had been made pretty apparent that that's who Gruden loves. So Gruden gets his weapon. We'll find out quickly if he was right, because Jerry Jeudy, who to me was the best wide receiver on the board, goes to the Broncos. So twice a year we're going to have the conversation of if the Raiders got it right. The corner is a little bit of a reach for them in my mind, but the other side of it is, and this is what I think everybody's reminder needs to be, you don't just magically trade down in the draft. It takes the ability to trade up in the draft. And several reports out of Vegas were that they were aggressive in trying to trade down from 19 and couldn't find a trade partner. So they took the fourth corner on their board because he was the best corner available still to them for their style of play. So, I think the couple of big takeaways for their draft is, number one, we have to remember that system matters, and Austin knows that as well as anybody, right? Like, at some point, coaches and GMs know what the systems are they're going to run, so they got guys they like. But the other side of it is John Gruden, really interestingly to me, in an interview after the draft, said that he intends to be able to one game go 5 wide and the next game go 3 tight ends and 2 running backs. He wants to be so versatile that he can do whatever he wants week to week, and you can't game plan against it. If he can actually pull that off, that's a $10 million coach, and we haven't seen him earn that $10 million yet. That would be an epic move.
I mean, think about what they did. If folks aren't following the Raiders, which I would understand if you're not, but their offensive line already they've invested in before with Incognito and Hudson, and they've got Gabe Jackson. But Last year they took Hunter Renfrow. They obviously still have Derek Carr, and it's a mystery whether they really love Derek Carr or not. But Darren Waller had a great year last year. They add Jason Witten. Who knows what he's got left in the tank. Josh Jacobs coming off a nice season. He'll go into year 2. And they add Henry Ruggs. They add Brian Edwards, the receiver from South Carolina. Might need a little time to mend a little bit more. But then they also get the Lynn Bowden kid out of Kentucky, who could be a fun piece for John Gruden. I just think overall, the idea, whether it works or not, but I think this is what people love coming out of the draft, the idea, the concept. And here in Jacksonville, I think people were scratching their heads a little bit, Jason, just because, like, okay, what are you going to do to help Gardner out? What are you going to do? Well, Chenault, good. Okay, that's good in the second round. And then it took until about round 5 to find another weapon, and that was a 6'6" kid, Colin Johnson out of Texas. So I would say from a fan standpoint, people buy into what the Raiders did so much more than maybe what they did here in Jacksonville.
Well, because what's the identity? And let me say this: Laviska Shenault has the potential to be great to me. And coming into the year, a lot of people had him projected as a top half of the first draft sort of wide receiver. He battles some injury, and from that point on, it never really gets on track. So I love the Shenault pick. And C.J. Henderson is a corner that a lot of people had going to the Raiders. Should he have still been on the clock? And Chason is somebody that has great potential to get after the quarterback. So I think there are some takeaways there that could be good. I'm just not sure you walk away from it feeling like you have a better sense of the identity of the football team. Like, how are the Jags defined right now? And for so long, they were defined by this killer defense that you were going to be lucky to score on. And then they became sort of defined by their dysfunction. Now, what is the identity of the Jacksonville Jaguars? And without knowing that, it makes it really hard to buy into what they're trying to accomplish.
Jason, and you know that this drives Brent absolutely crazy. I'm the last guy to ever give teams, like grades when it comes to the draft, right? Because I actually have to see the players on the field to know if those picks panned out or not. Now, I can grade on the standpoint of, did you address the holes? Did you fill those needs? And in terms of that, I mean, to me, the one team that I think gets an F overall of the NFL draft is the Green Bay Packers, because they didn't really address the wide receiver situation at all. And number one, they take in the first round a backup essentially for Aaron Rodgers. How do you like the Jordan Love pick for the Green Bay Packers? And how do you like how the Green Bay Packers really just went on in the draft, not really giving Aaron Rodgers a lot of, tools at his disposal, especially when he was on the back nine of his career?
Yeah, I think I couldn't hate a draft more than I hated what the Packers did. And there are so many reasons. Number one, I don't believe Jordan Love is an NFL starting quarterback. Now, the other side of it is, even if, okay, maybe I'm wrong. Sure. Matt LaFleur now is your second-year head coach that is just traded up to take a quarterback in the first round, which means the organization has hitched their wagon to Matt LaFleur the long term, because you don't let a quarterback go in the first round to a new coach unless you believe that they're going to be linked together. So now a quarterback in Aaron Rodgers that has had his public issues with a coach in the past has a coach that he doesn't feel like believes in him. I mean, this is a worst case scenario, and everybody keeps saying, well, Rodgers should go in and demand a trade. Remember, if Aaron Rodgers demands a trade and they give it to him right now, it's $51 million in dead cap space this year for the Packers. So he ain't going anywhere. So now you're going to have this weird moment where Aaron Rodgers is stuck with the Packers. They didn't get better. The rest of the NFC did get better. They didn't get more playmakers today, and they bank on the future when that's the one thing you can't do in the NFL, is bank on where you're going to be 3 years from now, because the league changes so fast. So I hate everything about what they did with that pick.
All right. This is where you were going at the end of your show today on First Take Your Take, 1 to 3 on ESPN 690. Super Bowl predictions, way too early predictions. Austin, you got anything, or you want me to go first?
You can go first.
This is really hard to do in the AFC. I know my NFC team.
I know you do.
I've got the Saints in the NFC.
I know you do.
I've got the Saints winning it all.
I know you do.
I've got them at 13-1.
Now I got to change my team. Okay.
Yep. You don't have to. You don't have
no,
to.
It's fine, man.
But how do you not? It's wide open outside of the Baltimore and Kansas City, and I'm not picking Kansas City to go back to the Super Bowl. So I want to take Baltimore, but I also want to take a sleeper team instead. Mm-hmm. Here's going to be my sleeper team. I'm not going with what everybody else is going to do.
You going to circle the wagons?
Nope. No way I'm picking the Bills.
Okay.
I'm taking the Indianapolis Colts to ride the offensive line, and Rivers bounces back and has a great year and not a bad year. That was a one-off thing. He's still got something left in the tank.
Okay.
They surrounded him. I'm going to take the Colts against the Saints, but the Saints win easy.
I'm going to take, for NFC team, it's going to be the New Orleans Saints. So we're on that same page. We're on that same wavelength. We're vibing right now. My AFC team, listen, I've been adamant about this. I get it. People don't repeat the Super Bowl. Just because you get figured out, teams adjust to you. We saw it with the Rams and the Patriots at the Super Bowl. Next year, Rams came out, and Sean McVay was figured out. But I think with Andy Reid and all his weapons, that entire offense, Brent, is essentially coming back. And guess what? They upgraded. They have more weapons now. Weapons upon weapons upon weapons. And if everyone can stay healthy, if Patrick Mahomes, like you said, he's double jointed, so he's not going to tear anything. So with that being said, I have a hard time seeing any team beat the Kansas City Chiefs because they're so dynamic. Sure, game plan for Travis Kelce. What's up, Tyreek Hill? Go and take over. Sure, game plan for Tyreek Hill. What's up, Mecole Hardman? Not even sure where you came from in college, but guess what? You're a beast on the Chiefs. Good luck with that. So with that being said, Kansas City Chiefs, too explosive, too dynamic. Back-to-back Super Bowl champions.
Can't believe you didn't take Baltimore. All right, Fitz, did you actually have a prediction of your own? I didn't catch that part.
No, they did. I didn't get one in, but I will say, Brent,
it was your show,
we're back to the P test for you. We might be back to look, Phillip Rivers is trash, and the Colts aren't going to make the playoffs. Let me just be abundant. The Colts have a better chance of a top 10 draft pick than they do with the playoffs because Phillip Rivers is going to sabotage their season. So. I'm done with that side of the pick. And look, the one thing about the Chiefs I will say, and I'll never forget, one of the guys that works for ESPN said to me the first time I was standing on the field and I watched Clyde Edwards-Helaire, he said, you can't tackle what you can't touch. You can't get your hands on that kid. And you are talking about somebody added to the most dynamic offense in the NFL. The Chiefs are going back to the Super Bowl. I don't even think it's going to be close, but I'm with all of you guys. I don't know that there's been an unluckier team in the NFL over the last couple of years than the Saints. I think this is a year that works itself out because, God, it can't happen 3 times in a row, right? So, to me, the Saints headed back. We get Chiefs, Saints. But I'm usually not one to praise them, but I think that CeeDee Lamb pick to the Cowboys could make that offense really difficult to shut down. So, when you look at talent alone, the Cowboys are one of, if not the most talented teams in the NFL. So, if I'm going to take a sleeper, it's the Cowboys. But I'm taking the Chiefs over the Saints in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I feel like maybe the Cowboys are built a bit like Kansas City was built 2 years ago, where they couldn't stop anyone. Yeah. And I wonder if the Cowboys will be able to stop anyone. They're just going to have to score a bunch of points. Jason Fitz from ESPN, 1 p.m. until 3 p.m., Monday through Friday. First Take, Your Take. Thanks for stopping by, man. We appreciate it.
Y'all have a great week. Thank you.
All right. Back to the P test. How many P tests am I going to have to take?
I was going to ask you this question, and be honest here. On a daily basis, how many times have you heard the phrase, and remind you, on a daily basis, how many times do you hear the phrase, you need to get drug tested?
It's been about 2 a day.
So you should maybe start taking the advice and maybe change up some of your takes.
Sign.
I couldn't believe that one of you guys didn't go with Baltimore. Like, I thought for sure you were going with Baltimore. Now, listen, Baltimore, I was going to make the case that Baltimore has the Kansas City rebound, right? See, I think Kansas City, and they've drafted solid, and they've got a solid football team to begin with. They add Calais Campbell. Yeah. I mean, I really should go there, but I was kind of trying to stretch it out. It's way so early. Why not, right? Yeah. But I think they could be the Kansas City of this year. See, that's why I liked Kansas City last year. Remember when we were talking about this toward the end of the year? I said, hey, they're catching their stride. They'll learn from their mistakes in the AFC Championship game the year prior. They'll be hungry for it, and it turns out that way. You feel that in sports. They knock on the door, and then they get it.
Yeah.
Well, I think Baltimore's built to be able to do that as well. You did bring up an interesting caveat. Do they figure them out a little bit more because of what Tennessee was able to do? Outside of that, man, I don't know who you can really make that much of a case for. Again, I went off the radar. Yeah. But remember now, San Francisco, nobody would have had them in the Super Bowl last year.
Correct. Well, John Bachman.
Did he?
Give John Bachman his props. John Bachman had the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Because didn't they win like 3 games a year prior?
Yeah.
Or 4 games a year prior?
I distinctly remember John Bachman calling the 49ers going to the Super Bowl.
Let's not give him credit. He's not around.
Okay.
But, I mean, okay, you could make the case the Bills. Are you really telling me that Josh Allen's going to bring them to the Super Bowl?
I'm going to tell you this, though. They play in a division, Brent, where they have a really good chance of winning it. And if the road to the playoffs, the road to the Super Bowl goes through Buffalo, I like their chances playing in Buffalo as a home field advantage.
Just as much as I put some faith in Phillip Rivers, what if Ben Roethlisberger does come back? That defense was dynamite last year. Could they? I mean, they went 8-8 with no quarterback.
Correct. But, James Conner has regressed a little bit. Injuries are concerned there. Is Juju Smith-Schuster a true one receiver? We don't even know that yet. Listen, to me, and once again, I'm going to be very adamant about this. With the landscape now of the NFL, we don't know when training camp's going to start. We don't know when, if there's going to be a preseason or just going regular season. So, to me, it gives an advantage to the teams that are already set to succeed. It gives advantage to the teams that already have the offenses in place, don't really have a lot of guys coming in where they have to adjust, and move things around a little bit. The Kansas City Chiefs are that team, Brent.
It's a really good point, okay? And I think the logic lies there, what you're saying.
Yeah. And the Colts, Philip Rivers.
I know, but it's not like you're asking a young quarterback to come in. I mean, you're asking a guy that...
Correct, but it's going to be different.
I get it.
Okay.
But he can sit back there all day because he's got the best offensive line in football, probably.
Good point, yeah.
But I think about what you just said, though, because I've heard that a lot. It's like, okay, people that are set are probably going to be in better place. Well, if they're already set, they're already a good football team, so they're probably going to be pretty good to begin with. But I understand the point. Like, you have continuity with their staff, and could that hurt like the Cleveland Browns, who I think are loaded on offense, but are they able to implement everything, and will it take a little while to click? But I also think this, in sports, when you have a team that is good, say it's a playoff game, early round playoffs, team that's good and a team that's just okay. So this team's a 2-touchdown favorite. And I'm talking like high school football, maybe even college football. And it rains like a son of a gun, and the field's muddy. Well, what does that do? That usually benefits the team that's the heavy underdog because it evens things out a little bit, right?
Correct.
It's kind of the unusual helps the underdog.
Yeah.
I'm almost wondering, do we get a taste of that at all in the NFL or college football this year, or in sports in general? Maybe if the NBA playoffs go back, it's like, does the unusual gravitate toward and benefit a team that knows how to pull things together, maybe is smart, maybe is a little bit more veteran, but not as talented? In any sport we're talking about, does the unusual help the underdog a little bit pull it off? It'll be really interesting to see who is crowned champions at the end of 2020 or going into 2021 based on that.
So I'm going to say this, though.
I'm not telling you the Jags are going to win the Super Bowl, but you get my point.
I see where you're coming from, but I'm going to use this as an example. We've talked about it before on the show. I'm going to go back here. 2011 NFL lockout. Okay, we miss OTAs. We miss a majority of training camp. We essentially come in late, right? And at the time, we're coming off of a season back in 2010 where we went 8-8. Okay, we were close to going to the Super Bowl. I mean, Super Bowl, close to going to the playoffs, not Super Bowl. Close to going to the playoffs. So there was a lot of excitement. There was a lot of intrigue coming back. Then you draft Blaine Gabbert. So there's like, oh, what has this kid got and everything. So to me, all the pieces were in place to be successful. The lockout hits, and keep in mind, we're kind of a young team. The lockout hits, and we come back, man. And once again, we're confident we're going to win a lot of games. What happened, man? It was a nightmare of a season. So,
they shouldn't have cut David Garrard after lunch, maybe. That would have
helped. That would have helped a lot. But with that being said, though, my point, Brent, is, was everything really in place that year in Jacksonville? Obviously not, because David Garrard got let go, Blaine Gabbert comes in, and the rest is history. So when you talk about teams like, obviously, the Baltimore Ravens, teams like the Kansas City Chiefs, the Dallas Cowboys, where the pieces are in place, the Saints, everything's in place. All you got to do is just show up, essentially, and stay healthy, obviously, and stay healthy. So that's why I'm more intrigued to those teams as opposed to, like you said, do the underdog teams have an advantage now? I can't see it.
Yeah, I would say if you had to pick one or the other, I would say no. But I'm just curious about it, not just in football. Curious a little bit in college football. I'm sorry, not just the NFL. I'm curious in the NBA. Again, the Lakers and the Bucks were the teams to beat. But if they do continue on with a playoff, it will feel like an entirely different season in the NBA.
Absolutely.
It's been a while now. I mean, are those teams mentally ready to handle it again?
Giannis is so ready, Brent.
You just wonder about that stuff.
Yeah.
I'll be fascinated to watch who raises the trophies and if it's the favorites or the underdogs coming out of something like this. We don't have a blueprint. I mean, you bring up a good example. Who won in 2011? Do you remember? Who won the year?
The Super Bowl. Good call.
That would have been the Ravens won in 12. Now, is that the 12 season or is that the 12 on the calendar? Ravens beat the Niners in New Orleans. Lights went out.
2011 was February 6, 2011. So that.
Well, that was,
so the next one then. So that'd been the Ravens. and then the 49ers. Because the Packers-Steelers was 2011 in February.
Yeah, so that would have been the prior season.
Yeah, so then it would have been, 2012 would have been Patriots-Giants.
Oh.
Giants won it.
All right, so well, that's interesting. I mean, both those you would put in the category, by the way, of teams more like the teams you're mentioning, the Chiefs, the Saints.
Correct. Oh, yeah. I mean, you had everything in New York, obviously.
Now, remember,
the
first time the Giants beat the Patriots, I think they went on that wild card run.
Correct.
So that was a little bit different. But this Giants team had the Elis. They thought they were pretty good, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And then they ended up beating the Patriots in the Super Bowl. Anyway, it'll be really interesting to see how that impacts the football season and whenever it gets played. In fact, one of those things we'll talk about coming up next is what if they push back the season? You know, what about the schedule? What about London? What about all these things? The what ifs? Are we about to get answers to those questions in the next week when the schedule comes out? Plus, we redraft the Jaguars' first 5 picks. How would it look? We'll get to that on the way here on a Tuesday. Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
A nice day today under mostly sunny skies. Highs this afternoon close to 80 degrees. Cooler at the beaches. Mostly clear and into the upper 50s tonight. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jacks from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
I'm Josh Scobie, proud supporter of the Guardian Catholic Schools, where we believe that every child deserves access to a quality faith-based education. For over 22 years, Guardian Catholic Schools have served as a critical high-impact presence within Jacksonville's educational landscape. From our highly acclaimed Early Learning Center and K-8 classrooms, every student is prepared with critical thinking skills and confidence as our educators build a foundation for their lifelong success. In fact, more than 96% of our alumni go on to graduate high school, higher than our local and state average. All students attending Guardian Catholic School receive some level of financial assistance. Regardless of where they begin, we know that all children can be successful. For more information on how you can help protect the potential of these bright students, visit guardiancatholicschools.org or call 904-765-1920 to schedule a tour. Guardian Catholic Schools, protecting potential.
When your car needs service, you want a safe place to go. That place is Arlington Toyota. Here's how Arlington has enhanced safety in their service department to keep you and their team of technicians safe. You can drop off your vehicle and Arlington will give you a solo ride home, so you don't have to wait on site. Arlington will even pick up your vehicle from you and return it free through April 30th. And speaking of sanitized, Arlington is cleaning the steering wheel, center consoles, and gear shift with sanitizing wipes as an added precaution. And if you come in, Arlington has enhanced its cleaning measures using hospital-grade sanitizing products and cleaning high-touch surfaces every hour. They've also increased the space between seats in their lounges and cashier lines to maintain the safe 6-foot distance recommended by the CDC. Oh, and if you need parts, you can order them and pay for them online, and Arlington will deliver them for free until April 30th as well. The service, parts, and collision departments at Arlington Toyota are open, and they've adjusted their hours to best serve you. Get the latest updates or schedule your appointment at arlingtontoyota.com today. And most of all, stay well and know that Arlington is here for you.
Take a look out your window right now. Things appear basically the same, but you know they're not. Same with your business. There have been changes, some might even be permanent. Only time will tell. But in the meantime, how will you respond? Stay the course, or will you explore the new opportunities in front of you? At Cox Media Group Jacksonville, we know that those who explore often discover wonderful new things. If you're willing, we're able to help. Contact us at 245-8732 or email buildjacks@cmg.com. And let's build Jacks.
Chronic or acute pain doesn't just disappear during a crisis, and neither does Cora Physical Therapy. Throughout this time, Cora remains dedicated to your health and safety. With 15 Jacksonville area clinics, Cora Physical Therapy provides quality care wherever you're most comfortable. In clinic, where we disinfect after every touch. Telehealth gives you remote access to licensed therapists, or Core therapists will even come to you. We are grateful for our patients' trust and our clinicians' bravery. What matters most is your health, so Cora provides care anywhere you prefer it. Learn more at coraphysicaltherapy.com.
We here at J. David Tax Law wanted to let our community know that we are here to help individuals and businesses with tax debt issues during the coronavirus event. The United States government has issued a $2 trillion economic stimulus package. The IRS has been tasked with collecting an unprecedented amount of tax debt to fund this historic initiative. If you owe a tax debt, there are new programs available that can help reduce or eliminate your IRS or sales tax burden. These programs expire on July 15th, 2020. So if you have federal or sales tax debt, payroll taxes, bank levies, wage garnishments, tax liens, or unfiled returns, we are here for you and your family. Call J. David Tax Law now for a no-cost consultation at 904-507-4777. That's 904-507-4777. Or go to jdavidtaxlaw.com. Greater peace of mind is only a click or a phone call away.
Hello?
Hey, boss, how's it going?
Hanging like a hermit.
I hear you. Hey, how's your mom doing? I know you're worried because she lives alone and all.
She's good, thanks. Every night she's getting dinner delivered. And every night she answers the door with her SafeTouch security app.
No contact delivery.
Yeah, and SafeTouch cameras are encrypted with all kinds of safeguards.
Yeah, you don't see headlines about SafeTouch systems getting hacked.
Exactly. Can't believe I'm saying it, but I just feel better knowing she has SafeTouch. She's got her emergency buttons, her two-way communicator, the guaranteed response time.
Boss, sounds like you have a love-hate relationship with SafeTouch.
That's complicated. Because being crooks and all, we still gotta stick to the Crooks R Us motto. Stay away from SafeTouch houses. Yeah, the struggle is real.
Crooks know to stay away from SafeTouch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of SafeTouch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call SafeTouch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
If you're sick and tired of being sick and tired and school just isn't for you, earn while you learn by enrolling in the Clara White Mission Workforce Training, designed for 16 to 24-year-olds and no experience necessary. National certifications include culinary arts, OSHA, HAZWOPER, forklifting, environmental training, and more. These programs are customized for low income and disadvantaged. Make your way to the Clara White Mission Training Center at 613 West Ashley Street. Call 904-354-4162 or visit clarawhitemission.org.
What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. Your smart speaker brings ESPN 690 into your home office. All you got to do is say Amazon Echo, Google Home, play ESPN 690, and enjoy that succulent sports coverage.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
They've been very positive with Baker. I can assure you there's nobody who's more focused and determined to put last year behind him and take a step forward than him. We are excited about the environment that we've created around that position and around that room in general. And we think that we really do expect him to have a fantastic year. I know Kevin and the staff have done a really nice job with the virtual offseason so far, implementing the new system, and we think that he'll be able to thrive in it this season.
Andrew Berry from the Cleveland Browns. If we were playing like a Guess Who That Voice Is today, we would be coming up empty.
Oh, man. Yeah. You could give me 1,000. I've never heard that guy before, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people have.
Okay, good. No, I don't feel as bad.
But, see, I referred to this earlier in the show. That's a team that kind of, usually you hear Cleveland Browns in the draft.
Yeah.
They very under the radar, who cares pick with the tackle out of Alabama, Wills. Yep. And outside of that, I mean, they kind of feel like they're set. They didn't have a ton of picks in this draft anyway. They're picking in the middle of the pack. So a very unassuming draft for the Cleveland Browns. And they're like, all right, buckle it up. Let's go.
You know, you're absolutely right. I mean, they got some guy, Grant Delpit. Never heard of him before. Jordan Elliott, Jacob Phillips, Harrison Bryant. Harrison Bryant's a guy I liked a lot. I think you liked him too, out of Florida Atlantic. Tight end. I mean, obviously a depth thing, but to me, man, the piece is already in place for the Cleveland Browns, and all they need is a captain, a head coach to right the ship, if you will. But to me, the Cleveland Browns are the prime example why I believe, and we can make a documentary about it on Netflix, why there is no salary cap in the NFL. Okay, because for whatever reason, the Cleveland Browns go out and get Landry, go out and get Odell Beckham Jr., go out and get Austin Hooper, go out and get an offensive tackle. Like, it just, I don't know. I can't put a finger on how the Cleveland Browns make it work. And they got, money to still spend if they wanted to. It's insane to me.
They had to let Joe Schobert go because of it.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
just kidding.
Yeah, I got you. I mean,
that's kind of what happened.
Yeah.
All right, here's the deal. A few things to get to. We got some good topics here.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a topic that's been on my radar for a bit. Somebody asked me weeks ago, and I'm sorry, but I can't remember.
Who'd you steal this one from?
No, somebody who I don't remember who asked me this weeks ago. But I was like, all right, I'm going to look into that. In fact, I remember when somebody asked me this, I texted someone in the Jags building and asked, and their response was, we were wondering the same thing. And nothing's been figured out. The NFL is clearly not willing to play hypotheticals with anybody right now. They are going on as the season is going on. But there are a lot of things in play. I don't know if you saw, I think it was the Sports Business Journal came out with like October 15th. They could move the season to. They would have no bye before the Super Bowl. Super Bowl moved back to February 28th. All these things in place. Well, listen, if you're a big business and you're $1 billion business and you're talking about schedules coming out in the next few months that you're actually going to play, I'm not talking about just the schedule coming out. Well, you have to plan these things. I mean, listen, they just lost the draft in Las Vegas. Everybody's losing events all over the place. A lot of travel involved, a lot of people involved in terms of gatherings. So they have to at least have these contingency plans, and rightfully so. I don't know what's going to happen there. I don't disagree with those reports. I don't even know if that would slide the season too much. You start October 15th instead of September, whatever. Sure, that makes some sense to me. I would say what's interesting here in town is the schedule's going to come out next week, and I wonder if they make a decision prior to that schedule coming out, and I don't know this, but I wonder if they say, we're not doing the international games. We just can't, we're not going to factor them in that way. Because I do think it's important from a booking venues, planning. I mean, I know it's May, and those games could take place in October in some parts of the world.
Yeah.
But that's still not a ton of time when you're talking about the logistics and travel and everything else that go into these. So I would not be surprised if we find out in the next week and a half before the schedule comes out that those London games are off the table. Again,
Wow.
I don't know. I'm just thinking from the way I would be thinking if I was Goodell and others, and especially here in Jacksonville where you're going to play 2 games over there.
Yeah.
And you can't guarantee that. And then how easy is it to slide that back to Jacksonville? Well, if you have a game right now that is Florida-Georgia related and it coincides with the Florida-Georgia game in Jacksonville, but you're playing on that Sunday in London, well, you don't slide it back to Jacksonville on that date. You can't do that.
Correct.
So don't you almost have to know in advance of what's going on? So
Good point.
I think there's so many of those things, but it's starting to come to fruition a little bit. We're getting into May. We're starting to creep into the summer. You know, the NFL schedule, listen, it's my life, the NFL schedule. Like, that matters. Like, I don't do anything. I don't pick the Dream 18 golf tournament date. I tell relatives I can't go to your weddings until, I don't know.
Yeah.
Until that schedule comes out. And they've already pushed it back because it usually comes out before the draft. So it is going to be really interesting to see what takes place in that regard and how they do this. And then there'll be another wave of it once they figure out, can fans go? You know, what do we do that? You know, how do we treat that? There's going to be a lot of elements to this, but I think first things first, and the first thing that will go off the table in a heartbeat are the international games. Just makes sense.
I agree with you here, and it's something I never even really thought about, so I'm glad that we brought this to light here. My question to you is, if you're the Jacksonville Jaguars and you miss out on 2 of those London games, obviously those are big money games or else you'll be going to London in the first place, right? So you make a lot of money. Do they try to recoup those in future seasons? Where all of a sudden now we're talking 3?
I don't
London
think so.
Game? No. So they're just going to wash their hands of it and be like, we lost it. It is what it is, and that's it.
Businesses all over the place are losing a lot of money.
Sure.
So I just think it's a part of the times. I think it's I don't know if there's penalties involved. Honestly, I haven't got to that point to look under that. Did you have to pay something to Wembley Stadium regardless? Does the NFL, are they on the hook for something like this?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just don't know how they would be able to say, yeah, we're going to be able to play a game in London. And then I think most importantly, it's not changing the game in London necessarily. It's like, okay, well, what about back here when you're usually working around a Florida-Georgia game one way or another? Could they figure out a way? Maybe. But remember, the Jags are set to play 2 games over there. So that really messes with the schedule. And I hope they don't say, hey, as a backup plan, if we don't play in London, we'll just go down to Orlando and play or something. That would just add to the mess that already is.
That's worse than playing in London, in my opinion. I mean, at least you can go watch them in Orlando, but man, it's just
I don't want that to be the contingency plan.
Exactly.
So I get this is all me. This is just total conjecture here. I'm thinking the way I would be thinking if I was setting the schedule, if I was Commissioner Roger Goodell. I would say at this year, given the times and the uncertainty, and even though things are starting to open back up, the knowledge that it could come back up again, and that's unpredictable, that I would just say, hey, we're going to not do the international games this year. I think that would be the smart play on the part of the NFL to do that.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fantastic point. I wholeheartedly agree with you, especially because you don't know. The schedule is coming out in a couple weeks here. You don't know what's going to be happening in October, all right? You don't know the landscape. And if you're the NFL and you're worried about, making that bottom line, making that money, you have to do so in a way where there are guarantees. And it's a guarantee where if the season does start up and, COVID-19, it's kind of flatline or whatever like that you want to call it, the guarantee that you'd be more successful if you had all the games in the States as opposed to having guys travel across the pond, obviously, and, having risks over there. So I completely agree with you. It's kind of another dynamic. I mean, obviously there's a lot of excitement when the NFL schedule is released, and now it's going to come with a little more excitement, I think, to see if the Jaguars do play London games or not.
Yeah, and it'll be really interesting to see. I also think, the Jags have had soft deadlines on the ticket renewal process, and rightfully so. They've been very sensitive to what's going on, and I think most sports teams have, and that's why you have to play it. So, last Friday was the initial deadline. Really, it had already been pushed back once. So that was the deadline to renew. But they are going to come out with some other initiatives and plans, and I think be really flexible in this part. But fair question is, okay, even for them, I would want to know, are we offering our season ticket holders 6 games or 8 games at home?
That's a good point.
Well, I guess if you had the preseason 10 games or 8 games. So there's a lot that needs to be determined, and maybe even so by next Thursday on that front. So I'm interested in the London part of it. We're not going to talk much about the schedule right now because I think that's a better next week conversation.
One question for you, though, quick. The Green Bay Packer game. Jags playing in Green Bay this year. Do you hope it's going to be like a fall game, or do you want to see the full effect of Green Bay, Wisconsin with the winner, 10 below?
If I could sign up for either one, I'd go with the winner.
Okay. All right. Then
and I'm not a cold guy, but
we're going skiing then, Brent. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm not a cold weather guy.
All
but
right.
I would say they go, I think, to Lambeau every 8 years it is. Something like that.
Yep.
Yeah, give me the Lambeau. The way it
give
is.
you the whole experience. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I would like that. Now, it's beautiful in the fall, too, so I'm sure it'll be
awesome.
great.
Yeah.
And probably a little more comfortable for everybody else. Especially if we are allowed to travel, we might be having that. We might be going for a few extra days.
Dude, I already told you. I mean, I'm going to buy my own ticket regardless, so it is what it is, man.
So we'll see what happens when the schedule does come out. There are some conversations, and I've heard now conflicting, about whether they're going to front load or not on the divisional games because those are obvious in case they had to shrink the season. Here's the thing. I don't think they're planning on shrinking a season. I think they're going to play the season, so I think they might even be less concerned about those divisional games and where they're at. Now, if you look at the schedule last couple of years, a lot of the divisional games in the final month, you'll see 2 or 3 of those games anyway.
Of course.
Down the stretch, which makes sense. But what I'm saying is the final 6 games of the year, I'm not so sure will be divisional games to preserve that just in case. I don't think the NFL's planning on that. I think they're planning on having a season, and I think they're planning on playing 16 games. Now, whether those games start in September or October, I don't know. Again, these are just all guesses, folks. But I think these are questions being asked on Park Avenue in New York City and being discussed, and figuring out, well, it's really not on Park Avenue in New York City because they're all from home. Yeah. But I think they're asking these questions. A couple other topics. The draft next year, if it really got bad and we didn't have a football season, which I know nobody wants to think about. But I think it's a fascinating question, and this is where I was going with this. People have asked me over the last couple of weeks, what would happen? What's the draft order? Fascinating. What would they do? What do you what would you suggest? I mean, hey, listen, we're making the rules right now at the NFL offices. This is unprecedented. What do you do And here are the options. You keep the order the same. So the Bengals go back-to-back years. I don't know what the heck happens with the Jags. They have the Rams pick. Do they go 9-20 again?
Yeah.
Or do the Rams get that pick back?
Those poor Rams.
Or
think of the Rams.
Yeah, I don't know what happens there.
Yeah.
I don't think that happens. I think that is so unlikely to happen that now some people have suggested you take the average of the win-loss record the last 5 years and you do the order that way.
Oh,
seems a little complicated.
Yeah, but you have to like where the Jaguars are sitting there.
Well, of course.
What's up, Trevor?
I genuinely think you would have a draft lottery.
Oh.
What else other way? What way can you do it?
Listen, I mean, there's no perfect way. I do not like the lottery format, though, because essentially you're leaving it up to what? Some ping pong balls to determine the future of the NFL for maybe the next decade or so?
Well, nobody played games.
I mean, I get you there, man. Honestly, if it was up to me and there's no other resort and we had to resort to something where it's like, all right, well, there's no season, there's no college football season, I would probably go with where the teams picked last year. And
Really?
I would have to because I
hate that idea.
I can't co-sign on a lottery ball thing because I guarantee that's going to happen and Trevor Lawrence is going to New England. Some way, somehow, it'll get rigged and Trevor Lawrence is the quarterback for the New England Patriots for the next decade and then I have to deal with Trevor Lawrence winning Super Bowls.
Between that and the commercials, you're really showcasing how soft you can be at times.
Unbelievable,
these
man.
last few days.
You're going to leave it up to ping pong balls to decide the future of the NFL.
Yeah, because
No,
now, hey,
man, that's
just
not
as
how it
much as
works.
you think of that, the
No,
Jags could
Brent.
end up with the number 1 and 2 pick in the draft.
Brent, you know dang well with the Jaguars' luck, they're not getting the 1 and 2 picks of the draft with these ping pong balls. You know, it's going to be like 16 and then like 28.
Seriously, I want to. You've got to. Okay, for a second here, you got to take the Vans off. All right.
Okay, what's up? I mean, they're literally falling off as we speak.
They
so,
are. I
yeah.
mean, that's embarrassing.
It's bad, right?
You've got to hide the tattoos.
Okay.
Put on a suit.
Oh, here comes ESPN corporate show Austin Lane. Gee golly, Brent, let's get it. What's up, man? What's up?
We're on my private jet
Okay.
up to New York, and we're meeting with Goodell.
Okay.
And we're saying,
Handshake, practice my handshake.
hey,
yep.
Raj.
Oh, you call him Raj?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
I'm going to bring him
is
some.
it like that?
I'm going to bring him some more M&Ms, too.
Is it like that? Okay, fine.
Raj.
What's up, Raj?
Let's be smart about this now.
Yeah.
This is the most fair way to do it. That's what you have to ask yourself. Take the New England Patriot angst and soft nature of that thinking out of the way.
Yep.
What's more fair than that? I mean, how could you reward? I'm not thinking of the Jags. I'm seriously thinking of Cincinnati. How could you reward Cincinnati for back-to-back years to have the number 1 pick? How could you do that?
Because they've sucked for the past 5 years. To me, Brent, what's worse? The Bengals getting the first pick of the draft next year or the Patriots getting the first pick of the draft next year? Depending on the season, you know, what's worse to you?
In all honesty, I've already laid a house bet down on the fact that the Patriots aren't going to be very good. They're going to probably have a top 5 pick
so
anyway.
Take the Patriots out of it then. Brent, what's worse? The Bengals getting the first pick of the draft or the Baltimore Ravens getting the first pick of the draft?
I understand what you're saying, man. I get it. But in the NFL, let's listen. In the NFL, the Baltimore Ravens, knock on wood here, I'm not inviting this to happen, could lose Lamar Jackson week 1 of the season.
Oh, that's going to be a big knock because he's still my fantasy quarterback, maybe.
Their season goes down the crapper.
Sure.
And they're picking 4th in the draft anyway. That's the NFL. Listen.
Yeah, bro.
Kansas City finished 2-14 and had the number 1 pick and had 6 Pro Bowlers on their team back in 2014, I think. Or 13 or 12, whatever it was.
Eric Fisher.
They had, so it would have been 13, the 2013 draft,
13.
so 12 season.
No, it was the 13th season.
No, because Fisher was picked in the 13 draft. So was Jokel.
Okay, I'm sorry. So, 2012
so it was the
season.
12 season.
Yeah, you're right.
They had
Okay.
6 Pro Bowlers and finished 2-14.
Sure.
You would have told me if you had 6 Pro Bowlers and I didn't give you the record, say Kansas City can't pick first.
Oh, so do you think they were tanking for Eric Fisher?
No, I'm just saying it's the nature of the NFL. Anything can happen. The Patriots, believe it or not, even though everybody else thinks Bill Belichick will pull some miracle out of his hat, even though he doesn't have Tom Brady and their roster on offense is pitiful, that they will be like this great team anyway. they can be 3-13 and end up with the first, second, third, sixth pick. They can.
I don't like it, Brent. And listen, and this is
what other fair way is there to do it?
To go by the record of last season. Listen, ask the New York Knicks how the lottery has worked out for them the past, I don't know, decade. Okay? The New York Knicks have been an atrocious franchise. They're one of the worst run sports teams ever. Okay? And this past year, they had hope. Okay, they had hope that they finished with a horrible record. That, you know what, we're gonna put our faith and our stock in these lottery balls, and hopefully, when the number one spot is picked, it says Zion Williamson, New York Knicks. Well, guess what? That didn't happen. They got R.J. Barrett. They couldn't even get John Morant. They got the third pick of the NBA draft. They weren't rewarded for having one of the worst records, for being one of the worst franchises in NBA. So with that being said, I don't like just leaving it up to, luck and faith, because that's not sports. All right, sports revolves skill. It revolves fairness. To sit here and say the New England Patriots possibly get a number one pick because you left it up to chance, that's not fair to me. It's more fair to reward a team like the Bengals, it's going to take more than one draft for them to be relevant. It's going to take multiple drafts. So then reward them, man. Let's get some more balance. Have two number one picks for 2 years in Cincinnati Bengals and see what they do with it.
Take the suit off, get off my plane. I don't think that's working.
Well, I wasn't wearing a suit anyway, so I'm not wearing a suit to beat Roger Goodell.
By the way, so here are some responses to this earlier in the day. Wouldn't they simply duplicate the order of this draft minus compensatory picks?
Right.
And I just don't see it. Lottery sucks. Glad NFL doesn't have that. Okay. The Jags would end up with a last pick guaranteed. Who is being drafted is the real question. We don't know yet. They should go by Vegas Super Bowl odds. Looks like the Jags get the number one pick. Very good. Josh says, are the Rams losing 14 games next season? Otherwise, I don't think we'll be in position to draft Trevor Lawrence. Are we going to another playoffs? Nah, but I see another 5-6 win season. Jacksonville has never drafted first overall. I don't see it next year either. Sorry, I read that, but it didn't really pertain to my question. John V says 2 lotteries to make it more fair. 1 lottery for the teams who missed the playoffs. 2nd lottery for the playoff teams. I'm glad you brought that up, John.
What?
And so basically what he's saying is a lottery to determine the 12 playoff teams and what order they go in. And you take the other, what would that be, 20 teams in the NFL, and you do a lottery for them. So what your point is, the Baltimore Ravens don't have a chance to get the number one pick. The best pick they could get is 21.
Gotcha. Okay. Better. I like that.
So this is where I was going down.
Yeah.
One of the most off the radar moves of the NFL calendar is a thing called the supplemental draft. Mm-hmm. And the supplemental draft can be a little bit confusing, but it's essentially for players who didn't declare for the NFL draft by January and aren't eligible for the April draft. Well, they can petition the NCAA at some point because they changed their mind, they had a different circumstance, whatever it might be, to go into this supplemental draft. And I think it's the NCAA, or maybe it's the NFL that rules on it. I think it's the NCAA they have to petition. I'll double check on that. But either way, very few people do it. Mm-hmm. And very few times it's even used. And what happens is in that supplemental draft, say you pick, like the Arizona Cardinals, I'll give you the example. They used it last year. The Arizona Cardinals used the supplemental draft in July of last year on a safety out of Washington State. And now I can't find him. Jalen Thomas, I think it is. Okay. Does that make sense? His safety plays for Arizona. Yeah. They had a 5th-round supplemental pick on him. So they have to give up their 5th. They would have had another 5th-round pick in the 2020 draft.
Correct.
But they give that up to get him in that supplemental draft. Does that make sense?
Didn't that happen with the dude from Ohio State,
the running back?
Maurice Clarett?
Yes.
Yeah.
It either tried to happen or did happen in hindsight.
Yeah.
But that's a good example of it. Yeah. There are very few first-round picks that have ever been used. In fact, there have been 8 players chosen as first-rounders via the supplemental draft. The most recent was Duke's Dave Brown by the Giants back in 1992. That's how often this thing is used. Seriously. Wow. Jalen Thompson, by the way, 5th-rounder last year, Arizona.
Yeah.
There's not Josh Gordon was in this draft back in 2012. Second rounder for the Cleveland Browns.
Was Maurice Clarett in it or not? Or was I wrong saying that?
I remember him being a part, but I don't think he ever did get in it.
It was like a comeback. I forgot how that whole thing went down.
By the way, Terrell Pryor was in this draft.
Okay.
Also, that was the Oakland Raiders, not the Cleveland Browns. He ended up playing for Cleveland. Ahmad Brooks was in this for Cincinnati in 2006. Jawan Cherry for the New England Patriots. How about that? Okay, let's see. Anybody else? Dave Brown. I'm trying to look at the first rounders. Bobby Humphrey, back in 1989, first rounder for the Denver Broncos. Brian Bosworth. I should have known that. Didn't realize Bosworth was in the supplemental draft in the first round.
Huh.
And Bernie Kosar, first round, supplemental. I didn't realize that had been used on those kind of players, quite honestly. I hadn't dug that deep on it. But anyway, the supplemental draft, a lot of what they do is they essentially take the teams that finish 6 wins or less, and they put them in a category. Okay. Then they take the non-playoff teams that had more than 6 wins, put them in a category, and then they take the playoff teams and put them in a category. And that's how they randomly, in a lottery, choose who goes first in the supplemental draft. It's not based on the draft order. You know, and then all this other stuff has to take place for the supplemental draft.
Sounds like the NBA, though, a little bit, right?
A little bit more like the NBA.
Yeah.
So
and
could
you know how I
you
feel
use
about
that system?
Sure can.
Which actually would be a lottery-type system, but it would benefit the teams that weren't so good and not benefit the teams that were very good.
Yep.
I think that would be the most likely type of situation we would get in a 2021 draft that did not have a season prior.
I'm going to tell you right now, if Roger Goodell steps down from his position and you apply for it, I'm going to do everything in my power to stop that. Okay? Because I worked too hard for 4 years, Brent. I represent the Shield to the best of my abilities, and I'll be damned if you try to take over the NFL and leave the future of the NFL to ping pong balls and the chance. You cannot do it.
I don't understand how you don't like that.
You can't do it, man. No. I'm sorry, but you can't do that, Brent. You're not going to be commissioner, so throw away that resume right now.
By the way, Eric Locke coming in big right here. 2005 NHL draft had to do a lottery because there was no 2004 season. Bingo!
How's the NHL doing right now?
We're redrafting the Jaguars
how's
first
the
5
NHL
picks
doing right
when
now?
we come back. Join us, ESPN 690. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau from Action Sports Jacks. There's a good chance you have a smart speaker, so use it with ESPN 690. Stay up to date on the Jags and all things sports by telling Alexa or Google to play ESPN 690. It's as easy as that. Make sure you listen weekdays, 3 until 6 p.m. on ESPN 690.
It's times like these that remind us all of how precious life is and how our love and relationships are what really matter. At Diamonds Direct, we believe this. Your love and well-being are truly our passion. That's why we've decided to temporarily close our showrooms, a decision rooted in caution and compassion. But rest assured, we are still here for you. Diamonds Direct's experts are behind the scenes helping customers 24/7, giving you access via text, live chat, email, or our special customer hotline that you can call anytime. Remote shopping options and expert guidance are always available, and our commitment to serve you is stronger than ever. Please visit diamondsdirect.com for more information or to start a remote shopping appointment. At Diamonds Direct, we're honored to be the symbol of your commitment to each other. And while we wait during this uncertain time, we encourage you to be safe, cautious, and courageous as we look forward to better days ahead. It's still your love, our passion, and nothing can change that. Not now, not ever.
As the virus creates more questions, you need a voice you can trust. At Action News Jax, we put truth over hype.
We want to try and put your mind at ease.
Our team of reporters, dedicated, researching, constantly pushing for answers, talking to doctors, scientists, and experts, so you're informed on the local impact. Because the more you know, the safer you'll be. Watch CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jax. We are Jax in this together.
Hello?
Hey, boss.
Why are you calling me?
Well, I was gonna come over, but I thought I should be practicing social distancing.
Oh, that's responsible of you.
Thanks. So I'm calling because I want to read you this new article in the Crooks of Us newsletter.
If it's about Safe Touch security, I don't want to hear it.
Boss, you want to hear this. The headline reads, Safer at Home with Safe Touch Security.
Safer at home with Safe Touch?
Yeah. It says, with people staying home more than ever these days, Safe Touch Security is the answer for peace of mind at home.
Yeah, the guaranteed response time, the two-way communicator, the video monitoring.
Yeah, and more.
Great. So what you're telling me is, whether they're home or not, the Crooks of Us motto is stronger than ever. Stay away from Safe Touch houses.
It's written in stone, boss.
Crooks know to stay away from Safe Touch houses. Hi, I'm Lester Jackson, president of Safe Touch Security Systems. No one beats our technology or our price.
Call Safe Touch today at 888-723-8682 or go to safetouch.com. State license number EF233.
These can be unsettling times, but CGC Water Treatment wants you to know that they are there for you and your family. CGC Water Treatment has 50% savings for you. Purchase a Premier Softener and save 50% off a K5, Connecticut's premier reverse osmosis system. When the shelves at the stores are empty, it's a great feeling to have purified water right at home. Call 904-694-2242 or visit cgcwater.com. CGC Water Treatment, your local independent Connecticut dealer.
Alexa, how do I drive more customers into my business?
First, people will need to hear about you.
Okay.
Then you need to be online where they look for you.
Online, huh?
Then you need to be involved in the community. Then you need to...
Whoa. I don't have time for all that. I need to run my business. Alexa, can you help me find someone that can help me with online marketing?
Okay, searching for a local team that can help.
Local Solutions, your local marketing team putting you at the top of mind. Visit JacksonvilleLocalSolutions.com today and let us take your business to the next level so you can get back to running it. Local Solutions, powered by Cox Media Group. Marketing solved.
When times are tough, we veterans take care of our own. If you or your loved one needs emotional support or connections to community resources, call the Florida Veterans Support Line at 1-844-MY-FL-VET.
It's time for some straight talk. The big wireless carriers try to wow you with big deals, but the savings are very little. With Straight Talk Wireless, you get the exact same network as the big guys while saving up to 50%. Right now, you can get the unlimited plan with up to 25 gigs of high-speed data, then 2G for just $45 a month. No contract, no mystery fees, all with nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable networks. Straight Talk Wireless. No contract, no compromise.
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside. Now, more than ever, we know you need to win every single bid. You can count on Lowe's for special values on pro-trusted brands and savings when you buy in bulk. Save yourself a trip by shopping Lowe'sForPros.com, where we can ship thousands of items to your doorstep or to the job site. Lowe's is open and pro-ready.
Broadcasting live from the ESPN 690 Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. Call 904-600-4000. That's 904-600-4000. ESPN 690. Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio. WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN 690, a Cox Media Group station. Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio. This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
Nantucket's got very strict rules about who is coming to the island. So I worked with the Patriots IT people, and I said, teach me. I'll do lighting, I'll do IT, I'll do it all. So I'm doing lighting. Next thing I know, Bill had a couple of treats that were left over near his laptop, and he'd stepped away from the table. And all of a sudden, he looks at me and goes, look at the table. There Nike was, just sitting there waiting patiently, and he knew his treats were there. So that's what prompted him getting up to the table, and he was just waiting patiently for the word to take his treats.
I don't know who that was, but they were talking about Bill Belichick, who did the draft from Nantucket, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And how much is he getting paid to name his dog Nike?
That's a dog's name? I didn't pick up on that. His dog's name is Nike?
Yes.
I'm not going to say anything. Just keep going. Go on, Brent. I'm not going to say anything.
That's all I've got.
Oh,
Listen,
okay.
if Reebok wants to pay me to name a future pet of mine Reebok, I will accept that.
You're going to name your dog Nike. You're Bill Belichick, okay? You are the best coach ever in the NFL, okay? Your defensive mind, it's going to go in the history books, not only in football, but just in American history as well. And you're going to name your dog Nike. Okay. I mean, I don't. What do you want me to say? I mean, that's crazy to me. Now, unless there's a family member that he had whose name was Nike or something like that, or if it's got some kind of significance, spoiler alert, it probably doesn't. I don't know, Brett. I don't know what you want me to say. I'm baffled. You think you know somebody, and then you find out that information, and it completely changes your whole perception of somebody.
By the way, Coos today has a tweet. Coos, can you read your tweet from today? We need to help you out.
Which one?
What did you do now, Coos?
The one about the groomsman. You got scolded by your fiance.
Yeah, no.
Coos has a wedding coming up next April, so read the tweet, Coos.
No, so it was, do I have to ask my groomsman in a clever way, or can I just send him a text?
What are you talking about a clever way? What do you want to do?
Well, like Nicole, right? Her sister's going to be the matron of honor.
Sure.
So she got this whole thing, and it's got, like, pictures in it, and, like, it was a whole thing, and she sent it, and they posted it on social media. They were all excited, and I'm like, well, I'm just gonna text the people that are going to be in my wedding. And Nicole's like, no, you can't do that. She was specifically talking about the best men that I want, like the best man that I want. She said, you can't just text them.
You have to do something elaborate.
Yeah, well, I was like, can I FaceTime? And I think she wanted it to be more than that.
We're not in England, and this isn't the royal wedding. So just send your friends text messages saying you're going to be in the wedding, and you're good to go, okay?
You're gonna have to spend an extra $500 for this wedding. Suck it up.
Yeah, I mean, man. Yeah, I think I just told my friends, like, hey, you guys are in the wedding. Congratulations.
Well, it was interesting when I read that. There's no way. I mean, I was 22. There's no way I said anything, but I wasn't a text. It was a phone call, I would imagine, at that time.
I'd be down to do a thing where, like, I send them a Smirnoff Ice and ice them or something like that. But even that sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, for one of my friends, I was the best man. I had to wear a tribal armband tattoo because he has a tribal armband for real. How embarrassing for him, I know, right? So I had to put a tribal armband tattoo around my arm, and then I had to take like a selfie and post it on the internet. And like that was like my way to be best man. It was fun. But once again, I say just text them and say, hey, you're in the wedding. Congratulations.
There are so many things now, like I've been married 20 years, that get done that didn't get done 20 years ago.
You missed out.
You said like the 1 year anniversary of when your wedding will be. Like it was back in April.
-1, yeah. I got
-1. Does anybody do
congratulations
that?
on your negative 1 year anniversary.
I'm here to tell you that no one's ever done that in the history of weddings. Okay? So I can't defend you on that one.
When
That's
I got
weird.
the text, I was like, is this a thing?
It's not. I try to Google it. It's not a thing.
It isn't? You did Google it?
I didn't. But it probably is a thing.
It's got to be a thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like on TikTok.
Yeah. Well, see, like this is a cool thing, right? Because Brent's the old school guy. Brent's been married forever now. Congratulations, by the way. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Some people think I got married at 12.
And you know, he's still going strong through this whole quarantine thing. Like they're still doing great. Walks every single day,
take a
man.
walk, just don't talk.
Well, I'll tell you, man. This whole quarantine thing.
Walking, no talk.
This quarantine thing's putting relationships to the test.
Oh,
okay.
No doubt.
So you know what's up. You're doing great. You know, I'm thriving. I'm flourishing. But like, what better guys to talk to than like the old school guy, right? The guy that's been there for a while, the guy that's kind of fresh in the game right now.
Yeah.
And then we got you.
Well,
I mean, what better way to consult somebody?
I can tell you the first mistake I made was taking to social media with this question because I already got texted about it. Like, you're really going to put me on blast like that?
Speaking about soft.
So what were the responses, though? Like, are you supposed to do?
Houston Texans,
because
I want to see Kuz's mentions.
I had a few people just say, I had someone say, at least call them. And then everyone else was kind of like, no, text is fine.
Yeah, I would say text or call. What I'm wondering, see, I think you're supposed to get your groomsmen something, right?
And I would do that,
like
but that would be like I'd give them that day of wedding.
Around
I
wedding
get that.
time.
Yeah.
That's enough.
Yeah, that's plenty.
Yeah.
And you know what I did for my groomsmen gifts, by the way? Dude, I don't
even remember.
Do you want to talk about what I did, man? I mean, I spent time, effort, money, more importantly. But So, you know, like Vans, the website, like the shoes, you can make your own custom Vans, right?
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
I know. So each groomsman got their own pair of custom Vans, and what I essentially did was I drew like caricatures.
Caricatures,
cartoons. Yeah. I drew cartoons. I drew cartoons of like
Jags
different
don't
memories.
have an Anthony caricature.
Who you telling?
their roster.
Who you telling, man? I'm having trouble up with lace on as it is. So what I would do is I drew cartoons of like memories that we each had on the shoes. So I had to draw it out for 10 different shoes or whatever like that. But it got done and it was cool.
That is pretty cool. I like that. That's a good gift. I really don't remember.
Each gift was like customized. So
like you got married what year?
2 years ago. September.
3 years ago in September.
September.
So 2017.
Around there. I mean, it was September. September 9th.
Is there a little pressure? Was there a little pressure on you? Because
Shut up, Goose.
Was there a little pressure on you from your groomsmen and friends? Because like, hey, this guy played in the league. I mean, he probably cashed a decent check. You better be a nice gift.
Well, first of all, the biggest pressure, I actually talked about this during the break. Because, you know, usually the the bride's parents, you know, cover it.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, former NFL player. So, like, you know, I wasn't going to bring it up or anything, but, you know, we're out to dinner, and, I'm just like, so what do you, what's going on with that? And, yeah, thankfully, Cody, her family, took care of everything, which was fantastic. Helped me out a lot. But I'm glad we could establish that. But with that being said,
that was a tough dinner.
I mean, come on. You know, like, what do you want? You know, I mean, I was a 5th round pick, didn't get the second contract, my 401k hasn't come in yet.
There are now 12 people invited to the wedding.
Yeah, 401k's kind of taking a hit, stock market. So, we're all good there. But my point was, like you said, my friends, they weren't expecting anything, Brent, because they know who I am, okay? And I'm not a big spender, especially when it comes to stuff that I'm not going to care about in the next couple years. So as far as, like, what I spend on my friends, like, yeah, I bought them the sweet shoes. That was like $70 a pop, way more than I wanted to spend, but it was worth it. But then as far as, like, the catering stuff, Brent, food truck, man. We didn't have catering. We had a food truck, and we had a band.
That's good
stuff. And it was by a barn, and we had a great time.
It's all about having a great time.
Exactly.
Just a couple more tweets from our previous conversation about the draft and what else they could do. Eric followed up after he told us about the NHL draft, said this from Wikipedia: teams were weighed based on playoff appearances in the last 3 completed seasons and first overall picks in the last 4 drafts.
Yeah.
So they did actually take previous record into consideration for the lottery balls. 3 lottery balls each were assigned to teams which had not qualified for any of those playoffs and received no first overall picks in the period, and then they had 2 and 1 accordingly. Ocho Fiscio said, easy solution. 10 worst teams over past 5 years in lottery locked into the top 10 picks. Rest of the league by record ties solved by coin flip. All right. Go Gators says they should just go off preseason Vegas odds for Super Bowl. And Matt Sturman, not only was Kozar in the supplementary draft, but Steve Walsh, Chris Carter also were supplemental draft picks. So pretty interesting.
I also got a tweet here, too, some interesting information. So Bold Castify Sports actually came out and said Belichick's girlfriend named the dog. Supposedly, he wanted to name the dog Jack. So
that fits Belichick a lot more than Nike.
Yeah. So once again, Bill Belichick, you won 6 Super Bowls. Okay, you're one of the best coaches of all times. Let's get control of our household a little bit, like you have control of the Patriots locker room, and you name the dog. Okay, what does your girlfriend bring into the table? And my wife said that our wedding was 9/9/17, and then she called me a bozo. So you happy now?
3 years ago,
she's called me a bozo.
We figured that out eventually.
Yeah.
James Mulvey says MMA tournament should decide the lottery, the NFL draft in 2021. One fan representative / combatant per team to do battle. How each team selects their combatant is up to them. It'll make more money than the draft itself.
I have an idea, Brett. Here's what we do. We don't tell anybody in the outside world this is my idea, your idea, and Roger Goodell's idea. Okay, so we're all in on it. And what we do is we put out one tweet from each football team, right? So the Jacksonville Jaguars. It's going to say, are you ready for some football 2021? Okay? Gauge off those responses. All the negative responses that come in, you add up all the negative responses. Whoever has the most picks first, second, and so on. Because you got to think. I mean, if you're a successful team, if there's optimism, people would be like, hell yeah, I'm ready. Like, let's get the season underway, man. Let's beat somebody. If you're the Jaguars, you know how it's going to go. If you're the Dolphins, maybe. If you're the Bengals, not so optimistic. So I think that's the best way to do it.
If you are a Jaguars fan, do you want to watch what's about to go down in the fall, or would you rather just pass on the season and go to the draft in 2021? Yeah. Oh, that's such a Jaguars question, isn't it?
Right.
It used to be a Cleveland question, by the way.
Yep. Factory
Okay,
sadness.
we're doing this redraft. You ready? Kyle, by the way, says, let him take the field before we go redrafting. Kyle, let me tell you something here. I appreciate the comment. But here we are on a Tuesday, heading into the month of May, in a pandemic where we haven't had an actual live sporting event in more than 6 weeks.
Get him, Brent.
The draft is over. The schedule's not coming out until Thursday. And we've got a 3-hour radio show every day.
Get him, Brent.
We're redrafting the damn Jaguars' top 5 picks right now.
Nice work, Brent.
Thank you.
Stand up for yourself.
So here's how it's going to go down.
Tell them how it's going to go down.
The rules are simple. It sounds complicated, but it's not. You can keep a player the Jags drafted. I'm okay with that. You just pass on it. Mm-hmm. But the example is this. C.J. Henderson gets picked at 9. Caleb Von Chason gets picked at 20. You have the right to pick a player between 10 and 19 that the Jaguars passed on. And you do that for the first 5 picks of the draft. So that goes early into the 4th round. Really, it goes middle into the 4th round, all the way to pick 136. And you come up with 5 players you wish you would have taken maybe instead of the ones the Jaguars did, or you can keep what the Jaguars did. I chose for this experiment not to keep what the Jaguars did, just to go totally with somebody else.
Okay.
And I think you might have kept one or maybe even more.
Well, I ended up, the first time I went, I kept 4 of them. But then I figured, well, that's not really good radio, right? That's not a fun game. So I switched out some guys, so I only kept 2 of them. And that was the best I could do for you, Brent.
You ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead. What you got?
Give me your 5. Let's go back and forth. Let's go back and forth.
It's going to be harder that way.
Okay, fine.
I need your 5 guys.
All right. So, obviously, I think you know where I stand with the first round. I'm going Javon Kinlaw. I think the guy's going to be one of the best 3 techniques to come for a long time. Give me Kinlaw. Number 2, no-brainer once again, K'Lavon Chaisson, because you know how I feel about him. When he went to the Golic and Wingo mock draft, he didn't listen to me. It's all good, though. No worries, man. But I like where they picked him, so I'm actually going to stay on that one, or pass, or however you want to say it. My third pick, Jalen Johnson. Okay? I love Chenault once again, but this is for the duty of the exercise. I think Jalen Johnson, corner out of Utah, man, everyone calls him a dog, all right? Well, like I said, I want Dobermans, Brent. I want pit bulls on my team. No offense to that cat from Michigan State. He might be really well as a nickel corner, but they call him the Gnat. We got to talk about that nickname. I'm going to upgrade his nickname when I talk to him in his first interview. Next pick, number 4, coming in was Zach Moss, running back out of Utah. Once again, a big Utah team coming here. But Zach Moss, once again, one of his biggest things, the guy runs with bad intentions. You know how I feel about that, especially to replace Leonard Fournette down the line. I think it's a nice transition from Leonard Fournette to Zach Moss. And then my 5th pick is going to be the lineman from a D3 school that I can't remember. Oh, I'm sorry, St. John's. I had it written down someplace. Birch. It's Birch?
Barch.
Because cool story, number 1. Number 2, I think he actually could be a really good player, and I'm not really freaked out at all by the coming from a D3 school. So I'm taking Barch.
All right, give him to me again one more time.
Kinlaw.
Yeah.
Chaisson, even though it hurts my heart because Christian Fulton, I know you're still there, but don't worry about it, man. You're going to have a great year. Jalen Johnson. Zach Moss. Barch.
Man, you kept Barch. It's incredible.
Yeah.
All right. I really wrestled with the first one, but the domino effect, if you do this, it's fascinating
Here
to
comes.
do it.
Trevon Diggs. Can't wait. Let's hear it.
No. I was going to go Judy instead of Kinlaw.
Oh, okay.
But I chose not keeping Chase on. If I had gone, I could go Judy and then stay with Chase on. I'm not doing it that way.
Okay.
So I'm going with Kinlaw.
Okay. Welcome.
I get my defensive tackle instead of the 3rd round pick. Get him in the 1st round. Justin Jefferson, receiver.
Okay.
So I add to the receiver room, and I don't think there's that big a drop off between Judy and Lamb and the rest of them. Diggs.
Get out of here, man. Oh,
I
man.
had to get a corner.
I know you got to get a corner. I know.
And so by that time, I was thinking Gladney in the 2nd and with the 20th pick, but it was too high.
Yeah. Okay.
So I'm going with Diggs.
That's your guy, Brent. You know what? Let me go and put that down in the bets real quick, too.
You know, I hate this pick because I don't want to cater to you damn Gator fans. But I got the next pick being Zuniga out of Florida. As I can use him on the edge.
Yep.
And I can accomplish what the Jaguars are trying to do to beef up the line. And then I have Gabriel Davis out of UCF. I think could be a fun piece in the offense and a little bit different.
He went to
use.
Buffalo, right?
Is that where he ended up?
I'm pretty sure.
Did he go to Carolina or Buffalo? Let's see where. I'll tell you where he went.
Wide receiver, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think because they were really high on him, if I remember reading like some reports. I think he went to Buffalo.
Let's see. I'll find him. I will find him. You know what? I after doing this experiment, he did go to Buffalo, you're right.
Yeah.
After doing this experiment, I was like, hey, you know what? The Jags didn't do so bad. You know what I could not do?
From. What's that?
I couldn't find the running back. Like, I almost passed, if I was going to go Judy, I was thinking of doing Swift. So I'm going all heavy offense.
Okay.
I know it's crazy to reach a little bit, but you got picked, what, 33rd or 33rd, I think?
Yeah.
So I'll go Swift at 20, which, again, I think is a little foolish investment in the first round.
What about Akers?
And I could have, that means I would have had to take, like, Gladney in the second round probably. Mm-hmm. So but then I go Judy, maybe Gladney, then go Akers.
Yeah.
And now I don't have a defensive tackle at all.
Plus
They're all off the board.
Yeah.
Unless I wanted to keep with Devon. I mean, I wasn't keeping with Devon Hamilton there. So
yeah, you don't have that. You don't have Diggs, obviously, because his agent's paying you all that money to talk about him. So yeah, you're really missing out on a lot.
Yeah, I would you feel better? Probably not about Jefferson and like Gabriel Davis on offense than you do with Chenault and whoever else they added, Colin Johnson, I guess. Not a lot, right?
Not so much.
Who
Changed
are your
the whole
offensive
draft
guys?
around.
No, you got Moss.
Yep, the running back from Utah.
And Barch.
Yep.
That's it. You went defense the first 3 picks.
Yeah, I didn't go receiver.
It's interesting in this, the way the draft fell. If you do this experiment, try it at home. Mm-hmm. It's hard to get a running back receiver combo without reaching.
Correct.
Because you would feel like you were reaching if you picked like Akers at 42. Now, you might not be. You just have to have a lot of faith in that. But I just thought it was an interesting experiment to go back and try to do and be like, all right, do I like that? How does that piece together there? Now, again, I was not thinking offensive line in this draft anyway early on, so that didn't really impact me. The Jags didn't do much of that. You had to get a corner in the top 3 picks. I waited all the way to my 3rd pick to do that. Kinlaw is that defensive tackle instead of Devon Hamilton, which would probably be a big difference.
For sure.
Right?
Yep.
So the question is, like for my experiment, how much better is Kinlaw than Hamilton? How much better is Jefferson than Chenault? How much better is C.J. Henderson, who they picked, than Diggs? A lot of people think a bunch.
Yeah.
And then how much better is Chason than a guy like Zuniga or even a Grenard that Houston ended up picking, which you could get in that same area?
Yeah.
So those are the questions now that the Jaguars that's what the draft does. You ask yourself that over the next couple of years. It'll be interesting. I'm going to keep this, and we'll see just even this season how it would play out in year 1. Again, most people would say 2 or 3 years to figure out a draft and see if it worked out okay.
I like it.
But I don't know if – I guess the point of this for me was positionally, I think the Jaguars did okay. Unless they really wanted to reach for some more offensive weapons. But did they pick the right guy at the position? That's always everybody asks that question.
And once again, you kind of know where I stand, right? Where this draft, you could argue, it kind of preps for the future a little bit. Obviously, you get some game changers possibly with Henderson. We'll see how he does his rookie year. Obviously with Chase on as well. Is he going to be dependent on to go the whole game, or are they going to have Yannick Ngakoue here getting reps too, so they can kind of ease Chase on in? We'll see with that. But my biggest thing, once again, is the running back position, okay? Because I get this year, you have Leonard Fournette, and that's fine. You can set it and forget it. Knock on wood, hopefully he stays healthy. But in the future, knowing that you're not going to give him the 5th-year deal, you're probably not going to bring him back, what's the plan for that? And, obviously the plan wasn't addressed this year in the draft. So that's really the only complaint that I have, Brent, is the fact that running back's not on the table. Hence why I took Zach Moss out of Utah.
Yeah, that's interesting to see. It'll be interesting how those running backs stack up. How do you're going to get a diamond in the rough that nobody thought would transpire that way. All right, hey, we got a couple of folks that did this experiment. Ben Jags / Magic. Jedrick Wills, left tackle at 9.
Yep.
T. Higgins, number 20, wide receiver. Fulton at 42, pretty good. Pretty good. You get him at 42 now.
That guy knows his corners for sure.
And I could have done the same. I could have taken Fulton, but you know Diggs is going to be better.
Yeah, but you didn't. I know.
73, Zach Baun is the edge guy. You're not in love with it. You're a Wisconsin guy. I know you're not in love with it.
Well, just because he's undersized. Yeah.
Look, is this your burner account? He said keep Barch at 116. Everybody loves the Smoothie King, man.
Keep him, man. Keep him.
Amik Robinson in the slot at 137. He keeps going.
Yeah.
Quarterman. Kept him.
Wow.
Bryce Hall. That's an interesting call. Bryce Hall was available to the Jags.
A lot of people like Bryce Hall.
And it was interesting he was still available at that point. And I think that's where the Jags might have picked Josiah Scott, right in that neighborhood. Bradley Anae, John Penasini, a nose tackle later, and then Hunter Bryant could have got later on. Interesting draft. That's a good one. Thomas Scales does a couple of other ones. Tristan Wirfs at 9. Is C.J. Henderson available? I would say no because he's already off the board. Correct. Justin Jefferson, Jalen Johnson in round 2. Okay, Vaughn with the 3rd round pick.
Yeah,
and then the best available DT with that next selection. So
yeah, I mean, listen, I don't mind the Bond pick, but it all depends what the Jaguars do. Like if you go 3-4, then yeah, Bond could be the guy, but I don't see Bond playing like a strong side linebacker in the NFL. Like he played it in college, and that's fine. But the guy's kind of undersized. Brent, you met him at the Senior Bowl, right? Like you saw his size. I mean, he's not necessarily like a prototypical strong side linebacker.
I would like one of the Florida guys more than Bond, to be honest with you. I think there's too much of a transition in that regard.
Yeah.
And he slipped, by the way. Bond was still available much further down than I think a lot of people thought he would be, and maybe for that reason.
Now, will he have 10 sacks last year? Absolutely, because I talked bad about one Wisconsin guy, and here we are now. So it is what it is, and I'll face that day when it happens.
I tell you, I invite you to do that little exercise, though, because if you get the time to do it, I know some of you driving and working, but go back and kind of see, okay, who would I take? And it'll be interesting. It's tough to get, especially where you think those guys will be impact, right? Most people would say 3 rounds. I even stretched it into the first pick of the 4th round a little. So that's actually 5 selections for the Jags. They could really, you maybe count on them to impact your roster in year number 1. And you can't take care of everything, I guess, is the moral of the story. And running back is kind of the one that I left out. And you even took him deep late in that 3rd round.
Yep.
So it's a fun little exercise to do. Again, we're not really redrafting like they busted the draft. It's just what other options they did have at the time, even though when you're drafting, you don't know where everything is going to fall. And by the way, draftniks probably know this way more than I do, because I might have paid attention more to this draft than any other draft, especially in the deeper rounds, the 4th and the 5th, and in terms of looking at guys and knowing people's names. Maybe some of it was our Shock Your Mock stuff. A lot of it was probably we had a lot more time to dive into the draft than even before because of the lack of sports activity.
Yeah.
And we watched more of the draft, I think, on a Saturday than maybe I'd ever watched, quite frankly. You always pay attention to the Jags picks, but I'm not sure I watch all the other ones and where guys are going. I would suspect what many people did suspect could happen. Outside of the top 20 area, there was a big swing on how people were valued. Again, Christian Fulton, by the analysts going into the draft, was a top 20 pick in some mock drafts. He ended up, like 79th?
Yeah. Dude, same thing with our dude Tyler Biadasz out of Wisconsin. That center
really slipped.
He dropped,
got him in the 4th round, mid-4th round, the Cowboys did.
Yeah. But so, I mean, like Kuiper said, like, if he was healthy, he probably would have got a 1st round, 2nd round grade at the very most, you know?
Interesting. Guys like that. So I think we saw more swing in terms of popular opinion going into the draft than actually how it fell. Some guys even falling out of the draft. Now, that happens every year. I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think it might have happened more this year. I haven't read anything on that or seen that, but my guess is it would have. A lot of that being the medicals. They red flagged.
Correct.
I think actually Dave Caldwell brought that up on Saturday night. Said Quincy Williams, a guy they got in the 3rd round last year, said they wouldn't have picked him in this type of scenario this year because they wouldn't have been able to bring him in for a visit, check the medicals, meet him, do all those kind of things. And so those kind of players probably fell a little further or maybe even off the board in some occasions throughout the NFL, which makes undrafted free agency very interesting. Why you saw some undrafted free agents, including the cornerback out of San Diego State that the Jags got, get record kind of money, get big guaranteed money. because some of that might have been the physicals and the ability to meet and go over some of those things and feel better about a prospect than just looking at the tape. All right, then we're going to take a break. Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690. Half hour to go here on a Tuesday edition of Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690. Hey, Duval Doom, I was just messing around about not playing the season. Sure, we rather watch and see what happens. I'm the guy that thinks the Jaguars are going to have a better record than the Patriots this year.
Brent's going through his Twitter mentions.
That thinks they're not picking in the top 5. So I don't want the 2021 draft coming. Just let you know.
I'm just reading some of the comments right now in your mentions.
Not good.
I've seen better.
How many more drug tests do I have to take?
Man, at this point, better start drinking some water, Brent, because you're going to be here for a while.
Live drug tests coming up next. Action Sports Shacks on ESPN 690.
Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau on ESPN 690 is brought to you by Best Bet Jacksonville and Orange Park.
Now, the First Alert Forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly sunny and pleasantly warm today. The afternoon high around 80 degrees, dropping into the upper 50s tonight, and partly sunny and warm tomorrow. Your Wednesday high near 85. Join me beginning at 5 p.m. for CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jacks from the First Alert Weather Center. I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
It's times like these that remind us all of how precious life is and how our love and relationships are what really matter. At Diamonds Direct, we believe this. Your love and well-being are truly our passion. That's why we've decided to temporarily close our showrooms, a decision rooted in caution and compassion. But rest assured, we are still here for you. Diamonds Direct's experts are behind the scenes helping customers 24/7, giving you access via text, live chat, email, or our special customer hotline that you can call anytime. Remote shopping options and expert guidance are always available, and our commitment to serve you is stronger than ever. Please visit DiamondsDirect.com for more information or to start a remote shopping appointment. At Diamonds Direct, we're honored to be the symbol of your commitment to each other. And while we wait during this uncertain time, we encourage you to be safe, cautious, and courageous as we look forward to better days ahead. It's still your love, our passion, and nothing can change that. Not now, not ever.
There are many uncertainties in today's healthcare climate, but one thing remains the same. Haven Hospice is at work in your community, providing high-quality, compassionate, and timely end-of-life care. Haven's clinical teams are ready to care for hospice patients with COVID-19 in their homes, nursing homes, the hospital, or in one of our 5 freestanding care centers. When health becomes a challenge, we will be your haven. For more information, visit beyourhaven.org. That's beyourhaven.org.
One-to-One Financial is Jacksonville's hometown credit union, and we've been helping people improve their lives and start businesses in this community for more than 85 years, longer than any other local institution. Like our name says, we work one-to-one with everyone, no matter their background, and we offer the best rates on loans and savings accounts, free debt counseling, plus no-cost financial planning. Learn more and join us at one-to-one-fcu.org, federally insured by NCUA.
Baby boomers and retirees, learn how to de-risk your retirement savings with less risk and higher returns. Secure your retirement income savings with zero downside market protection, plus earn upside market gain. Chuck Oliver, 2-time best-selling author and wealth architect, is hosting a free and timely educational webinar. Visit retirementprotected.com. That's retirementprotected.com to schedule your webinar day and time. Chuck Oliver is helping baby boomers and retirees thrive in retirement. Visit retirementprotected.com.
Wash your hands, avoid sick people, and touching your face. There are everyday actions to help prevent the spread of respiratory diseases. Visit cdc.gov/COVID-19. Brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
The United States is among the most dangerous developed nations in which to give birth. It's not fine, but together we can do something about it. Help March of Dimes give every mom and baby the best possible start. Sign up today and join us at March for Babies to walk alongside thousands of supporters to raise awareness and funds to fight for the health of all moms and babies. Register now at marchforbabies.org.
Out of sight, out of mind still holds true. When things disappear from your day-to-day life, you think about them less and less. This includes your business. Yes, things are difficult, but if your customers aren't thinking about you now, how can you be sure they will be when this is passed? At Cox Media Group Jacksonville, we make sure they will. We'll help you stay on the mind of your customers and even get into the mind of some new customers. Contact CMG Jacksonville at 245-8732 or email buildjax@cmg.com and let's build Jax.
Did you know that you have the power to positively impact a local child's life? It's as easy as donating to Daniel, Florida's oldest child service agency. Daniel provides counseling to abused children. Daniel helps homeless teens find shelter and learn to live independently. Daniel connects kids with foster families and strengthens at-risk families so they can stay together. They've done all this and more for 135 years. Please become a part of improving the lives of local children and families by donating at danielkids.org today.
At Navy Federal Credit Union, you get $200 when you refinance your auto loan from another lender with us, so you can execute your own missions, like Operation...
Redo the upholstery in the minivan. Yeah, get some leather in there.
Or Operation...
Maybe I'll just get it detailed. Oh, and some air fresheners. Ah, new car smell.
Refinance another lender's auto loan with Navy Federal and get $200. Start saving at NavyFederal.org. Navy Federal Credit Union. Our members are the mission. Open to the armed forces, the DoD, veterans, and their families. Insured by NCUA.
Our normal way of life has been changing quickly due to coronavirus. New rules to follow, and basically all sports have been put on hold. Heck, you might even be working from home. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. If you're not in the car from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m., check in on Action Sports Jax on your smart speaker. Tell your Amazon Echo or Google Home to play ESPN 690.
Brent Martineau.
You see him every day on CBS 47, Fox 30, Action Sports Jax.
Austin Lane.
He's a former Jag star and current MMA fighter.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studio.
This is Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690 and ESPN690.com.
They whined and cried for a year and a half about how bad we were for the game. But more importantly, they said we're bad people. We weren't bad people. We were just basketball players winning. And that kind of stuck with me because they didn't know who we were or what we were about as individuals in our family life. So all that whining they did, why shake their hand? They were just whiners. They won the series. Give them credit. We got old. They got past us, but okay, move on.
Okay, Bill.
Bill Lambert, one of the great villains in sports.
You know what? I sit here and the more I think about it, though, because I obviously, that's from the 30 for 30, the Last Dance, and a big storyline was the fact that the Detroit Pistons kind of snubbed the Bulls and walked off the court, before the game was even over. And they didn't give MJ his just due. They didn't say congratulations. Like, they just walked off the court. Ironically, when the Bulls got beat by the Pistons twice in the playoffs, Jordan was the first guy to say, good game, like that. So there's respect there. But then, the more I think about it, and I was the guy that was saying, well, the Pistons are in the wrong. They shouldn't have done that. Just like when the Celtics did it to the Pistons, the Celtics shouldn't have did it. But then, I remember now, man, when I played football, though, in the league, every time I lost a football game, I never once said congratulations to anybody. Like, there was the Thursday night game, I said congratulations to Andrew Luck, but that was more of just me walking out and he pulled me over. I was like, I wouldn't want to talk to him. And we're talking about guys like that I went to college with that I played against, didn't want to talk to him. Like, when I lost a football game, man, don't talk to me.
Yeah.
I was that sore of a loser and I was that bitter. So,
well, that proves it, Coos. He's just a jerk.
I am. There you go. So,
tell me something I didn't know.
So looking back on it, man, maybe it was the playoffs would be different. But I'm just talking about in a regular season, there was never one time where I lost and I would just stop and say, hey, good game, man. You guys beat it. No. I went back to the locker room. I pouted. I threw my helmet in the locker, and that was that.
I got to be honest with you here, and I hope my kids aren't listening.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't bother me at all.
Brent.
One of the great things, not just you, but anyway, I actually feel, and I know right now we can't say anything bad about Michael Jordan, but I think Michael Jordan's a bit of a baby for this. Come on. I mean, who cares, dude? I mean, listen, I actually love the fact that he hates the Pistons still.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard for me to not hate the Lakers still. Mm-hmm. And I'm not even a Celtics fan anymore, really, if I'm being completely honest.
Mm-hmm.
And I hated the Pistons for a long time. I mean, Larry Bird joked about the Isaiah Thomas comment. I didn't. So I didn't like Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah.
I was starting to think this last night. This is how much I did not. I was such a big Larry Bird fan.
Oh, I know, man.
Such a big Larry Bird fan that I really did not like the idea. I was thinking more of it watching the show last night, trying to put myself back at that time frame, which, some of the Pistons stuff would have been the early 90s. I would have been 13, 14 years old. I mean, I don't know any better. I'm 13, 14 years old, but a huge Larry Bird fan. Mm-hmm. And speaking of sore losers, I don't like the fact that Michael Jordan's taken over the league. And Larry's on his way out.
It's an interesting perspective,
And so I honestly, if I'm being completely honest with you, I didn't hate it that the Pistons were beating the Bulls at the time. Like, I didn't hate it that Jordan wasn't getting to the finals. He was already winning scoring championships and dunk contests, and he had already taken over the league. And I didn't hate Michael Jordan. But I didn't love the idea that he was taking my guy off the pedestal.
Yeah.
I really, if I'm being genuine about it, like I was thinking of that a lot last night because we watched it with the kids, which, by the way, is dangerous with the swearing version.
Hey, ESPN2, man. We go to ESPN2 real quick.
Nah, you got to get the full effect.
Oh, I know.
One time, Kaylee's sitting there, and she's not really watching. She's got, like, headphones on, and so she's watching something else, and she's like, my goodness. Like, she's obviously listening.
I just like Michael Jordan dropping F-bombs, man. Like, I'm so used to Michael Jordan Space Jam, like him and Bugs Bunny teaming up and everything, and all of a sudden he's dropping F-bombs.
When do we get that part of the documentary? When are they going to interview Bugs about?
Now we're talking.
But Steph's sitting on the couch, and she's like, really? Really? And then after a while, she's like, just, whatever. She stopped saying it because they were swearing so much in the thing. I think the swearing version is so much better.
Yeah.
To be honest with
course.
you. Like, you
have
got to watch it.
It's the full effect. Let me ask you this, though, Brent. I mean, you talk about those Celtics teams, okay? And, like, they had like a 30 for 30 was like the Celtics and the Lakers, but they didn't really get involved too much about the Boston Celtics, the team and the dynamics. How bad do you want a Last Dance Boston Celtics version?
Yeah, it would be great. It'd be great because, and I'm sure there are some things out there. I'm not really the guy that I used to get. I think my mom got me maybe when the Red Sox won in 2004, like the DVD.
Okay.
Of like the Red Sox season.
Yeah.
And I've seen, I think HBO maybe did it, or somebody else did like a thing on the Red Sox winning, or they've done the Curse of the Bambino stuff before. I haven't seen a ton of Celtics ones, so I'm not the guy that goes back and watches a lot of that. Let's just say that. I do like the 30 for 30s, and this documentary is really cool. And so if they did it on Bird, I would be all in.
Can you imagine a 30 for 30 Last Dance on with Larry Bird? Hey, this is me watching Larry Bird's documentary. Cool, he grew up on a farm. I wake up 20 minutes later. Oh, he's still on the farm. Cool.
What? Wait, why?
Wow. Oh, he's shooting 3-pointers. Cool. Did he ever go to a dunk contest? No. What is he rocking? He's got Converse sneakers. Cool. And I'm back. Oh, you want to talk about a good night's sleep? Give me that Larry Bird Last Dance documentary. Go ahead and give me that and see how the ratings do.
I don't know, man. I think Larry Bird, like there were parts of Larry Bird that I think it was like I love Dan Marino, but Dan Marino, a lot of people consider to be a jerk.
Sure.
For a while there, and in his playing days, and I think Bird had a little bit of that to him as well. Like I think there was some of that involved. So I actually think it might be more entertaining than maybe you think so.
Okay, I thought you said more entertaining than the Bulls one, which I was getting ready to come across there and make a statement. Okay.
But the actual Bird documentary could be like white guy, one of the best all-time NBA players of all time.
No, if I want to see that, I'll watch Dirk Nowitzki do his thing and win a championship. Hey, are you ready for that Kevin McHale? 30 for 30.
Well, Kevin McHale would be in that conversation. That's my point.
Come on. I mean, you might as well just have Tim Duncan and the Spurs while you're at it, too. I mean, that's what we're talking about. We're in the realm right now. Here's Tim Duncan just doing nonstop in the gym, 5 hours a day, doing bank shots the whole time. Like, no, man, the Chicago Bulls, dude, I'm so pumped on this Last Dance thing.
This is the thing, all right? The thing's fantastic.
Yeah.
But it's not, you're missing a little bit of it so far, in my opinion. People are saying Jordan's the best ever.
Yeah.
Jordan, it's unbelievable. The competitor that he is. And in that respect, it's like watching stuff of Tiger Woods and for modern day athletes. But what's making the Bulls, in terms of this documentary in this series, are the other teams? It was initially the Bird and the Magic stuff. Yeah. It's now the Piston stuff, but it's really the other characters around Jordan.
Oh, it's Rodman, man.
Right?
Of course,
but it's
Pippen.
Phil Jackson, man. I mean, Zen and all this.
The Zen
he's
master.
doing acid.
Yeah. He was. I can't believe that.
He comes back. He's like, "Whoa, guys, I got it. Triangle up."
That's pretty all. Yeah.
Jerry Krause, who's hated, and Scottie Pippen. This thing would be a snoozer. Other than, hey, I love basketball and I love Michael Jordan, if not for those characters.
Correct.
You know, that's the point. Like the Celtics, I don't think you could do that on them because I'm not sure they had those kind of characters. They had Kevin McHale and Robert Parrish and blah, 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 whatever, but they didn't have that. I mean, you're talking about Rodman is one of the great characters in sports history.
Yeah.
In history.
Yeah.
Pippen is the greatest Robin maybe in sports history, right?
Yeah.
To Jordan's Batman. I mean, you just, that's, and by the way, Phil Jackson's listed as one of the great coaches in sports history, not just in NBA history. So this is a lot less to do with Jordan, in my opinion, as of now. Yes, it's showcasing Michael's greatness.
It is.
And it should. And I'm not saying it would be bad if it wasn't just about that, but it would be an hour documentary if it was just about that. It wouldn't be a 10-part series.
Yeah.
It's all these characters meshing together for obviously this Last Dance, but they're doing a great job of depicting really the entire career of Jordan so far.
No, of course. And I can't wait to rub it in your face why Michael Jordan is by far the greatest of all time. When I come in here in about 3 weeks and we talk about, dude, Tony Kukoc was, wow, that was a crazy story about Tony Kukoc. Man, Michael Jordan.
I don't think Kukoc is going to be a character
I'm
here.
going to come in here, mark my words, in a couple weeks. And listen, I followed Tony Kukoc in Chicago. He went to Milwaukee a little bit, had some good careers there. I'm going to come in here in a couple weeks, and we're going to say, dang, I had no idea about Tony Kukoc. But man, Michael Jordan, man, that's why he's the best. And I can't wait to talk to you about it because we're not going to get a Boston Celtics Last Dance. We're not going to, because you know what? Ratings matter, Brent.
They do.
Ratings
have
matter.
been really good.
Yeah.
Listen, it's okay. I'm just trying to be genuine with you. I wasn't the biggest Jordan fan.
Yeah.
And as I watched last night with the kids again, I was reminded of that time in my life where I was more pissed off at Jordan than I was, hey, yeah, he's the greatest thing of all time. I did not have Michael Jordan posters. I didn't have Michael Jordan sneakers. I wanted Larry Bird Converse.
It was... Well, first of all, I'm sorry for you. That's horrible. That's a horrible thing to say.
They actually had a Converse store, I remember, on Pawtucket Avenue in Rhode Island, by the way.
Chicago's got Nike Town and Pawtucket Avenue. Come get your giant Larry Bird poster hanging up. Listen, I get what you're saying, though, because essentially what Michael Jordan did is obviously he changed the game, he revolutionized it, but you were saying goodbye to Larry Bird, and that's what it was. You know, it's it's like nowadays, like with football players, right? Eventually, Tom Brady, we got to say goodbye to him. You know, now you have like Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, just the style and just the guys that you grew up with, they're not going to last forever. So I get what you're saying there. And I get your, I don't really say frustration, but I see where you're coming from the standpoint of, yeah, when Jordan came in, Larry Bird was second fiddle. And all of a sudden people started to forget like what Larry Bird meant to the game of basketball, how he changed it, how he revolutionized it. And you had a guy like Michael Jordan, I can see where you're coming from there.
Yeah, it's just a little different. Well, this doesn't take away from the series. The series has been unbelievable. It's not because it's actually just bringing me back to those days and just everybody. It's like you could not like Jordan. I'm just telling you, I wasn't in love with Michael Jordan like everybody else was, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah.
And I never did, but that's why. It's like my guy is just got knocked off the pedestal.
Sure.
And it's like I took like ownership of that. That's how much I like Larry Bird.
Kuz, I'm curious because, you know, obviously Driving Dish podcast, you're a big NBA guy. When you were growing up, because I tend to think that you missed out on the Jordan stuff. Right, I mean,
we weren't even. Well, what were they showing? They showed 91. I think when they won, they showed Jordan holding a trophy in 91. And I turned to Nicole and I said I was 13 days old.
Yeah, exactly. So you basically
so you would have been 6 even during this time, the 97 season.
I mean, the real stuff that I remember is like Allen Iverson. Like that's the first
that's my next question. Like, what were the teams to you then? Right, because like obviously when Jordan was done. The NBA took a hit, but like, what are like, you know, when you were coming up as a kid, you know, when you're in grade school, like, was it Vince Carter? Was it Allen Iverson? Like, who are the guys that you gravitated towards? Who are the guys that kind of changed the culture a little bit? Because I'm trying to ask this question because keep in mind, when this thing's done, this documentary is done, ESPN's trying to find the next big thing. And obviously Kobe Bryant's going to be there.
Yeah, Kobe.
But like, who are some of the other players you can maybe do one about?
Iverson would be amazing. But have they've done like 30 for 30 on him, haven't they?
Yeah, they've done stuff on Iverson.
Actually, I know they have because Jordan did this.
Yeah.
Did you read the thing where Jordan did this because he thought the Iverson thing was awesome?
Oh, it was fantastic.
He's like, I think his quote was something like, "I love that little guy" or something like that.
I was a huge fan, and I couldn't stand Philly, but I loved Allen Iverson.
If you read back on why Jordan's doing this now, it's because of the Iverson documentary or whatever they did. I'm not familiar. I didn't see it, so I don't know if it was a 30 for 30 or not.
It was a 30 for 30. I forgot what it was called though. The crossover.
It might have been. Maybe it was that.
Yeah.
Thinking of teams that really stuck out as a kid, I remember being really intrigued by the Rockets, which was T-Mac and Yao. I remember being really intrigued by those
That's
guys.
so funny. Like you say the Rockets, I said, "Oh yeah, you're right, Elijah Wan and Drexler." I say Ralph Sampson.
Wait a second.
And you give me Yao Ming and Tracy McGrady.
I really remember being intrigued by that, and I think the Grizzlies was another one that I was kind of when they were doing the grit and grind stuff. I thought that was kind of cool, but.
So the Allen Iverson, it's called No Crossover. It was the trial of Allen Iverson because he got into like a bunch of legal stuff or whatever like that. So that's what it was.
Well, he's had a very interesting life. He's just an interesting character anyway, and so well respected, but never won anything. He's one on the list of guys that never won big.
Yeah,
but is perceived great. Mm-hmm. I mean, listen, Marino's on that list.
Yeah,
but there are very few that get in like this extra category of helping change the game or one of the greats of all time or all those kind of accolades without winning a ring.
Yeah.
And Iverson is on that list.
Do you think we see a 2004 Detroit Pistons kind of like documentary?
I think this is it right now for him.
I mean, it might be, man. But you remember
you said 2004.
2004, because they won the championship. And like to me, growing up like that, Ben Wallace was really the only reason why I actually applied myself in basketball because I didn't like the sport at all. But like watching Ben Wallace play the game, watching him just be like the beast in the paint with that afro and everything, biceps bigger than Tyson Alualu's calves. You couldn't believe like how big that guy was. So with that being said, man, like I think the Pistons deserve to have that because they weren't the team that had a superstar. You had Rip Hamilton.
It's probably,
you had Chauncey Billups, Tayshaun Prince, Rasheed Wallace.
It's the worst team to ever win a championship.
Okay, well, they're a good team, but I don't know if they're okay. Now
seriously,
now
they might be the least talented team to ever win a championship.
Yeah, but see, you say that, and it's like, well, could they have held up with like the great Spurs teams and things like that? Could they held up with like Shaq and the Lakers with Kobe? Like I don't know about that.
Why's my sister calling me? I'm on the radio. Don't these people know what I do?
Let her know, man. Let her know what's up. She should know by now. We're going on until 6. But I just think, listen, the 2004 Pistons team, it was different. It was new. You didn't really see it coming. They won the game of basketball more with defense and offense. I think it's a cool story to tell. Like I don't want to see a Tim Duncan, David Robinson, San Antonio Spurs Popovich one.
If you do see it, it'll be more Popovich related. It'll be like how he was able to pull it off.
I don't want to see Manu Ginobili talking about how he flopped 30 times a game and like my stepdad would throw the remote at the TV because he gets so ticked off about it. Like, I don't need to see it.
What's crazy about Detroit is a decade after having Rodman and having the success, they found Ben Wallace. Real quick before since we've been talking about this, what is your favorite episode so far? You got 4 of them.
That's a good question. I think the Rodman one so far, but I'm excited for next week's because they teased it. It's going to be all about his sneakers and like the branding of Michael Jordan. I can't wait. But so far, it's got to be Rodman, man.
Goose?
I'm honestly thinking, I think I'm going to go with the Pippen one because I learned the most. Like, I kind of already knew a lot about Rodman.
Yeah, that's a good call.
But the Pippen one, like, I didn't know that he was essentially an equipment manager, and I didn't know he held out with the surgery until right before the season started. I didn't know all the hate he had, so I felt like I learned the most from Pippen.
What about
That's
you,
a good
Brent?
call. Yeah, I was thinking Rodman, but the Pippen one is not far behind. I thought one got off to kind of the normal start one of these would. And Phil Jackson's a good character, but he's nothing like the character of those guys in terms of the players.
Well, I'll tell you what. Don't wear socks when that Tony Kukoc one comes out because it's going to knock your socks off, man. You're going to see Tony Kukoc in a whole new light.
Hey, how far off was I when I said to Ty, the Rodman one as it was being teased before the actual thing. I said, this is the modern day, or this is that day's Draymond Green from a playing standpoint, where people don't like him. He's an antagonist.
Yeah.
He'll get technicals, but if he's on your team, you absolutely love him.
Well, and have you been reading what he's been talking about, what was going on with Kevin Durant? He's been I think Kevin Durant came out with a book, and so people have been asking a lot of questions, and there were times where Draymond Green was essentially going to Steve Kerr in the front office saying, we have a problem here. Kevin Durant feels like he's not getting the ball enough. I can only manage so much on the court. And then there was that one famous moment where Kevin Durant and him got into it. And that was apparently Kevin was on the bench being like, give me the ball to Steph. And he's like, hey, like, it's a team thing. We'll get you the. And so it like.
I don't know if anybody compares to Dennis Rodman.
No, but
I actually, the way I described it at the time, I was like, this is like Draymond Green on steroids.
Yeah.
That's what
absolutely.
I said to him.
You're right. And especially think about then, like, and I get it, like, he knew his role, right? He wasn't Michael Jordan. You knew when Scottie Pippen came back, like, he was kind of the third guy. But the fact that he embraced just getting rebounds, he embraced playing defense, like, who does that anymore?
Yeah, you gain a lot of respect for Rodman through this about that style. And if MJ and Pippen respected him, you gain a lot of respect. I was thinking Bill Lambert, and I was thinking Rodman, too. Like, aren't those guys, like, on teams that you almost – people hate, that you want on your team? Again, Draymond Green, I think, is like that. I think opposing – fans, everybody, they hate that guy. They don't hate Steph Curry. It's hard not to hate Klay Thompson. I mean, hard to hate Klay Thompson. You appreciate the greatness of Durant even when he was on that team. And Steve Kerr, I mean, shoot, man. I mean, there's no guy you'd rather go to a bar and have a beer with than Steve Kerr.
Yeah.
But you hate Draymond Green. I mean, you always have to hate somebody on a team.
That's a good point.
You know, and I always like think of this in the terms of like the Red Sox a little bit, like people hated Euclid. For a while, they hated Johnny Damon when he was kind of a part of that team. It's not always the star of the team, but there's somebody. Rodman for the Pistons, Rodman for Chicago.
Yeah.
He was the guy you hated.
No, that's a great point. You know, he was just that guy that was always pesky, and obviously his hair choices, like, that made him stand out as well. And to me, like, that's what makes Phil Jackson. That's what makes maybe the Red Sox organizations, the Yankees, so great, right? Because they can, not to say like Euclid was a bad team guy. I mean, and Rodman wasn't really a bad team guy ever, but there was controversy, right? Like the guy showed up to his book signing in a wedding dress. Like that commanded attention. Okay, that's a distraction. And I think like it goes to show you whether it's Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen or Phil Jackson, like they embraced Dennis Rodman wholeheartedly. You know, Dennis Rodman could let his freak flag fly as much as he wanted because it didn't matter, man. As long as you go out there, you play good defense, you get rebounds, that's all that matters. So once again, we talked about it a little bit, but like in terms of NFL locker rooms, you're going to have some outliers. You're going to have some rough around the edges guys, but the great cultures, the great coaches, and the great, team captain guys can make those players work.
A lot of people wondering, like, the Last Dance, like, what can they make next? But the one they make down the road, in my opinion, it's twofold. One is, I think they could do it with the Florida Gators team of Tebow and Percy Harvin and Aaron Hernandez and all those people. What they had in that locker room, those Urban Meyer teams, and then the Tebow dynamic there is, if Tebow will someday talk about it, Urban Meyer will someday come clean about it in like 25 years, it would be unbelievable. But the Patriots also have that. They have Brady and Belichick greatness, and they have Aaron Hernandez, at least during that stretch. But they even have guys like Randy Moss coming in there. How did he fit in? How did these other guys fit in that were just coming in and they couldn't handle it in other places? The Patriots will be like the dirt of the Patriots will someday come out. Maybe.
You have to have the Patriots.
In 20, 25 years.
You have to have the Patriots. Too many, like Teddy Bruschi, Junior Seau played with them, didn't he? Like
he did late,
yeah,
right?
I mean, there's way too many great guys, too many great football minds not to tell those stories.
Problem is, that would have to be like a year-long documentary because they did it for 2 decades. All right, we'll see you on TV tonight, CBS 47 and Fox 30. Tomorrow, we'll catch up with one of the new Jaguars. One of the draft picks joins the show on Action Sports Jax on ESPN 690.
What's up, everybody? It's Austin Lane from ESPN 690 and Action Sports Jax. Your smart speaker brings ESPN 690 into your home office. All you got to do is say Amazon Echo, Google Home, play ESPN 690, and enjoy that succulent sports coverage.
Ortho Edge understands the need for medical treatment in times of uncertainty, so the office will remain